Here we are with the part 1, the MCQ or the electronic part in your term 3 exam. This is for grade 12 advance. The first question is to find the area between curves using definite integration. That means the limits will be given or you need to find it out. Please note that in these problems, I will use the shortcut methods or the calculator methods. Since you have 4 options, you can directly solve the problem and check the correct option and get the answers. Now the first problem uses this formula. It uses the limits, integral of with the limits a to b, upper function minus the lower function. Now even if you do not know which is upper and lower, you can find it out as long as the limits and the functions are known. Let's look into this problem here. First, let's take out our calculators. Before we begin, let's clear our calculators by pressing Shift 9, 3 equal to and AC. Now it's cleared. Here you can just choose any equation. This is the symbol integral. Choose any equation. I don't know which is upper or lower. It's x cubed minus, let me use the other equation. Don't forget to use the brackets. Whenever there is minus, please use the brackets. If the first function you're writing, doesn't matter because it's all plus itself, but for the second function, use the brackets. And here the limits are lower limit to higher limit. Whatever the limits are given, the lower will be first. The smaller number will be written over here and up above will be the higher limit. The answer is 40/3 and that's the correct answer itself. But what if I had taken the upper and lower limits wrong? I mean the functions wrong. This was not the upper, this was lower and this was upper. Let's try that now. I will just change the functions. X squared minus 1 is the first function subtracted from x cubed. Now the answer is the same thing, but it's just minus. So you don't need to bother finding which is upper and lower. Just use this formula. You will get the correct answer itself. It's 40/3. But if you choose the wrong functions, upper and lower is messed up, then you will have negative answer. It's fine. Even over here, I'm not gonna, write it out. I'm not gonna, draw the graphs and solve which is upper and lower. Directly press this out. I will take cos, just cos x, close the bracket, minus x squared. Now it's better to use brackets here. Minus x squared plus 2. If you don't use brackets, you need to keep changing the signs, which is, confusing at times. So it's better to use brackets. And over here, the limits are 0 to 2. Now, will I get the answer if I press equal to? This is wrong answer. Why? Because we have trigonometric function, shift the mode to radian. That is shift mode and press 4. Now it's in radian. You can see the R symbol shows it's radian. This is the answer. But now what's the problem? I got negative answer. Why? Because this is the lower function. This is the upper function. But that's fine. I'm not going to bother about it because the 4 options will be given. Whichever has this is the correct answer. But most likely you won't have the answer like this. You will have in some other form. Let me write this number. Ignore the sign, only 5.75736. Now look into the 4 options. Here you can see this is the correct answer. But in your options, right, you will have like maybe 4, something like this. Some might be numbers. What you need to do is you need to put this in the calculator and see what the values are. I'll show you now. All you need to do is type it out. And please remember, if it is trigonometric functions, keep the radian mode on and now solve it. What's the answer? It's 5.75. So whichever option matches with the answer you got is the correct answer. So the other 3 wouldn't be the same. So that's how we solve this one. Please do try all these problems by yourselves. You will get the same answer. Just type it out. Now since it's exponent, I'll just do this quickly. Integral, shift and natural logarithm gives you exponent. Alpha x over here minus, open the bracket, alpha x minus 1. Close the bracket and the limits are, see the negative 2 is smaller than 0. So it's minus 2 first and then 0. And the answer is 4.86. And over here we have 5 minus e to the power minus 2. Now let's solve that. It'll be 5 minus e to the power minus 2. And it will be the same thing. 4.86 is the correct answer. So this is how we can solve this. Try this by yourselves. You will get, if you get negative answer, Remember, that's fine, just take the value. And you need to solve all the options and match it up. Now, what if the limits are not given? In such problems, you need to find the limits. How do you find the limits is, now this is x squared. Even if you don't graph it accurately, it's fine. I'll just graph over here for this one. It's -1, so it's something like this. And it's 7 minus x squared. So it'll be uh, positive or something like this. Okay. You will have two intersecting points, isn't it? Now, how would you find those intersecting points? For quadratic, for linear, it's very simple. All you need to do is equate them both. This y and y must be equal. So all you do is x squared minus 1 equals 7 minus x squared. Now take this to the other side. It will be x squared plus x squared equals 7 plus 1. 2x squared equals 8. Now you can solve this directly by, algebraic method, divide both the sides and then take the square root of 4. It will be plus or minus 2. Or you can use quadratic mod phi 3. How you do it is, whenever you have x power 2, you can easily get this into quadratic form. Bring this 8 to the other side. It will be 2x squared minus 8 equals 0. Now here remember it's 2x squared plus 0x. The x term is not this, so it's 0x minus 8 equals 0. Now all we do is we use this mod phi and the option number 3 for quadratics. Put over here the coefficient is 2, 0 and minus 8 and solve it up. The answer is 2 and minus 2. The limits basically for the formula over here, integral, it's minus 2 and to lower to higher. Now, do I need to know which is upper and which is lower? I don't need to, because you just put any one of this equation. The answer, if you get negative, that means you have taken it wrongly. Otherwise, you'll get correct answer. That's it. Value will be correct. Let's do it. Integral. Now, I'll just take the first equation, that is alpha x squared minus 1. Now I know that is the lower function, but still doesn't matter. And over here we have again alpha x, sorry, it's 7 minus x squared and close the bracket. And over here the limits are minus 2 to positive 2. The answer will be negative here, but that's fine. The answer value is correct, only the sign is negative because I chose the lower and upper value. So this is the answer. It's 64 by 3. That's what we had got. But forget the negative sign. Whatever the answer will only be positive. Area is only positive. So that's how we solve it. This is the graph if you want to know. Now here as well, it's a quadratic. It's very simple. I'll just tell you how we can solve it up. X squared minus 1 equals half x squared. Take this to the other side. It will be x squared minus half x squared minus 1 equals 0. This will be half x squared minus 1 equals 0, or it is 0.5 x squared minus 1 equals 0. So this is the equation. You can put it by mod phi 3, find the limits and easily use the formula. You don't need to know which is up and low. Just put this function minus the other one with the integrals. So here the answer would be negative root 2 to positive root 2. Here you may not get this directly in the calculator. If you get this, well and good. Otherwise, you need to press SD and check for the value. Same way you can do this one as well. Let me do this one because it's cubic, right? So here what you do is you just equate y is equal to y, sorry. That is x cubed is equal to 3x plus 2. Let us rearrange this. Let's bring everything to the one side. It will be x cubed minus 3x minus 2 equals 0. This changes the sign. Please remember, sometimes students tend to forget to change the sign and then your answer will be wrong. Instead of say getting 2 and minus 1, you might get something else, instead of minus 2 and 1, and the answer will be entirely wrong. So please be careful. Now it's always better to fill up the other degrees. Plus 0x squared minus 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. Why I'm writing like this is, sometimes I only get confused. Okay, if I don't write this, I'll just take 1 minus 3 minus 2, and that's an error. You should know that there is a 0 over here, so it's better to write all the degrees and include the 0. Now let's use a calculator to solve this cubic function, that is mod phi and 4 for cubic. So it's 1, 0, -3, and lastly we have -2. The answers are 2 and -1. So the limits over here, x is equal to 2, x is equal to -1. So they are the limits, -1 and 2. Okay, now you might be thinking, this is x cubed. There must be 3, right? Let me press again. No, 1 is repeated because there are only 2 solutions here. Okay, because one solution is already repeated. So our limits are -1 to 2. So you need to go back to the computation mode. Let's do this answer. It'll be minus, let's write the equation first. Alpha x cubed, this is power 3, minus, we have 3x plus 2. Now close the bracket, and the limits are from -1 to 2. And the answer is -27/4, but ignore the negative sign because this is the lower and upper function. You don't need to bother about that. Only take the value. It should be 27/4. You can see that's the answer. Here's the graph. So here as well, you can do the same method, but over here we have square root x equals x squared. It's a little bit difficult, isn't it? But still, you can solve this. How we can do that is, let's square both the sides. What happens when you square it up? Here you square it, over here you square it. It's going to be x is equal to x to the power 4, right? Let's take it to one side itself. This, let's take it to the other side. It'll be x power 4 minus x, and it will be equal to 0. Okay. Now what I do is I'll remove this x common out. So what am I getting? X cubed minus 1 is equal to 0. So I factored it out. And here x can be equated to 0 and x cubed minus 1 equated to 0. So the limits are 0 and 1. You can use the calculator to solve this, but over here this is 0. You can't do anything. But you can easily do this as x cubed is equal to positive 1. What is the cube of 1? Cube of 1 is 1 itself. It's not plus or minus 1. It is just 1. Okay. If it was minus 1, cube would be minus 1. Now, since we are dealing with cube, we can ignore the calculator because there's only one answer for sure. But if it was square over here like this, x squared is equal to 1. Square root of 1 would be the square root, right? Plus or minus 1. But if it's cube, we don't have plus or minus. It's only a single number. If it was, say, minus 27 cube root, right? Now we are not taking square root, sorry, it's cube root. That is minus 3. It's not plus or minus 3. It's only minus 3. If it was plus, it'll be plus. That's how we do it. So now we found the limits are 0 to 1, and then use any of the equations and solve it just like what we have done a while ago. So you can see it's 0 to 1, and this is the upper function. But even if you do the other way around, you will just get the negative sign and the same answer. But now what happens if it's, complicated problems? Now the best and the reliable shortcut method is by table, mode, and 7. That's the table method. Now let's type this out. 4 alpha x, so it should be alpha and x, and then you have e, that is shift and ln, minus x squared. Only type one equation at a time, but because most of the calculators have only this option, but now to save time, I'm going to put both. If your calculator allows you to put both the functions, you can try this as well. You can take modulus over here, shift and absolute. ABS gives you the absolute sign, alpha x. Now this is very simple. You know the values. If x is 1, y is 1, x is 2, y is 2. It's a simple graph. Now what you need to do is, where do you start? In this, don't go to values which are very beyond 0, near to 0, because almost always the values, the integral limits, right, will be very close to 0. Okay, so what I do is generally I go with -2 or -3 max. Now you can go with -3. Let me take -3. Okay, don't go beyond this. -2 is also fine. And where do you want to end? If you have taken -3, it's good to end with 2 or 3, not more than that, maximum 3. And then now, what is the step? This is very important. Don't give a step 1. It will be too broad values. You won't be able to figure out anything. What I generally do is, I give a step of 0.5 or 2.5 for more detail. Now I'll just take 5. And here's the table. Now for you guys, the table will be individual. You'll get one table first for the first equation, then the second equation, you must do it again. But over here now I can compare it easily. Now what I will do is I'll graph it up. Basic graph. And guys, if you're practiced, it won't take much time. It's just in calculator. Over here it is -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. In the mid we have 0. That's 1.5, sorry. 0.5 here, negative 0.5 and negative 1.5. Now we got the values, the first function and the second function. If you don't get it together, it's fine, you can graph it separately. Now, anyways, when I'm plotting the points, I'll take one at a time. But don't just start plotting, let's look into the values. You can see over here, it's all 0 point, very, very minute values. It's -1, very small, and 0. Over here, it's 0, and then we have positive. So what I can understand is the left side is all negative values over here. It was very small. It was over here something 0 point, okay, and 0, something like this. Let me just go back. I forgot the values. It is, see, let me plot only from -2. It's -0.1, and then there's -0.6. Sorry, my points are wrong. Let's assume this has 0.1 over here, then it was 0.6 over here, then we had 1 point, big one over here, then so you can see after -1.5 over here, it's a big down. There was a drop at 0 directly. You can see there is 0, and then it's positive moving upwards at 0.5 somewhere over here. And this is how you can approximately graph it up. Okay, you can see that there is again increase from 1.5, there is decrease, 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 something like this. Now what about the right side? Look over here at 0. Can you see the 0? X value is 0. What happens? Both the graphs are 0. So that is one touching point. I'll just change the color. Now for the second graph over here, at 0 it is 0. And then at 0.5 it is 0.5. This was 1.5, right? So it is not the same. See over here, you can compare these two. And then over here at 1.4, this is 1. Again, it's smaller. See, in comparison, and over here now it's 1.5. It's not matching up. But now you can see this graph is pretty straightforward. 0, 0.1, 1, 1.5. It increases, you know. So it starts with 0, it's small over here, and then little high, and it goes. So if you know the approximate graph, it's something like this, and over here the intersecting point is where. Now this is not accurate, but I can predict it's close to 1.1, right? Or after 1 or just below 1. So this is the approximate rate. So what I would do is I would take a limit from 0, yes, obviously it's meeting up, 0 to 1.1 or something. And now let me do the calculation for this. Let me use this mode 1. Let's go back. Integral 4x e to the power, that is shift and this symbol over here, minus x squared minus, let's take modulus x, or you can directly take x, it doesn't matter, it's the same thing. From where to where? From 0 to 1.1. What is the answer? It's 0.7986. Now you will have 4 options, right? Whichever is very close to this will be a correct answer. See, let's write this answer over here. 0.7986. All the 4 answers will be different, okay? Now here, 3 minus ln 4 divided by 2. What's the answer here? 0.806, which is very, very close to the answer we got because we did not take the accurate value. And over here, they must give you the benefit of doubt because no way you can graph it accurately. So in my personal opinion, this problem may not come. Why? Because it's so close and there's not an easy method to solve this, okay? So you need to do graphing. And this graphing is not easy. You need a graphing calculator. But still, if you're doing it in rough figure, you will never get the accurate answer. You will just get an approximate. See, I got this approximate value of 1.1. But actually it is root of ln 4, that is 1.17 or something like that. So this is how you do it, do this type. Now we move on to an interesting problem. Here, this is a little bit difficult. You know, if this comes with MCQ, you will have to work a lot in this. I mean, not a lot, just the graph and everything. Um, Now, this specific problem is an interesting one because it's not as simple as the other ones. Now, we just now did the graph, right? The same thing can be graphed over here. See, now this is absolute value. It's always this. This is the absolute value graph. And this is rational. It will come something like this. Now, what happens is if you have an absolute value and the intersecting is from 0 to over here, it's fine. This is considered to be positive x. But modulus means it can be either positive or negative, right? Now here both the sides are obtained. So the value of this function varies. Now what is the function over here? Over here it is minus x, over here it is positive x. That's the difference. Why? Because over here the slope is going downwards, here it's increasing. So when we use the equation, it's upper equation minus lower equation, absolutely fine. But since here, if you know the rational function, it will be like a mirror image, okay, for especially for this, if it is any constant, okay. If this is say 3, what happens is this part over here and we'll go something like that, it's a mirror image on both the sides. Now the over here, because it's x squared, if it was x, then it will be an asymptote over there. Now in such cases, what you basically do is over here, put this thing and this thing in the calculator directly. You will get one of the limit and you can consider that to be the mirror image. I will show you now in the calculator. I've typed the given equation over here. To get the absolute value, you just press shift and HYP, you will get absolute, the two lines, and then type in x. And if you press shift and solve, let's see, you get the answer 1. Now if you get 1, you should know it's like a mirror image, the other one will be over here. So that is the limits. Now what about the formula? See, here you must remember the formula for 0 to 1. Here, x value is there, right? This x value, it's minus x. The function is 1 is minus x, and then you have 2 by x squared plus 1. Whereas for the other time, it will be positive x, and it's 2 by x squared plus 1. So I'll substitute over here. The above function, 2 by x squared plus 1, this is 2, and over here it will be minus of minus x, that will become plus, okay, eventually. And then you need to add up with the integral dx, add up with the second part over here, 0 to 1, sorry, I wrote the limit wrong. It's from minus 1 to 0 at the first limit, okay, not 0 to 1. And then the next limit is from 0 to 1. But here what happens is the 2 by x squared plus 1 is same, but here it is minus what? This is x, this is minus x, so it will be positive x itself and dx. This is the equation. Now if you put this in the calculator, you will get the answer directly. I've typed both the equation. You need to press this, type in the first equation, and then separately go next, and then add the second equation as well separately. The answer over here is 2.14, and over here we got pi by 2 minus 1. Now here, this is the correct answer. It's 2.1415. It's not pi by 2 over here. Actually, what happens is 2 times tan inverse x. When you apply the limits, it's pi by 4, but you are multiplied by 2, so it becomes pi by 2. So here we will have pi by 2 and pi by 2. So pi by 2 plus pi by 2 would be pi minus 1. So then it is 2.14. So that is the correct answer. Remember, just for this question, because it is a modulus question, when we have limits from negative to positive, the left side will be minus x, then the right side will be x. So we split the interval, the formula, right? We split it. So you know the formula. It's just that in one side it is going to be, the left side, wherever the negative symbol, it will be minus, and minus will be plus x basically. And over here, since it's plus, minus x, minus times plus x will be minus x only. Now this one is similar to the previous one, but over here there is no modulus. So I'll tell you the method exactly, but for this, if such problem comes, you need to know the basic graph. You can easily get the graph from the table option. You will get the points and you can graph it randomly. See, answer is over here minus 2, but there is a problem. Here there are many intersection points. See, it's a linear line, right? It's a straight line. It will touch over here, and over here. There are 3 points. So that means you have to split the limit. So whenever you get such cases, over here it's -2 to 0 is one limit. So integral from -2 to 0, again integral from 0 to 2. Now you might be worried, okay, over here the upper, lower, upper, lower. No, don't worry about that. It's just that you must do this individually. Okay, solve it up individually. You don't need to bother about this. I'll show in the calculator how to do it. Once you know the limits, just press this and let's type the equation. I'll just type 5x divided by x squared plus 1, and then we will have to subtract it with the other equation, that is x. And what are the limits? The limits are from -2 to 0. Over here, what is the answer we are getting? We are getting negative, but doesn't matter. This is the correct answer only. Just take the value. So the first answer is let's take the value only. It's plus 0.0235. Now the same thing, same equations I'm going to keep, but just change the limit over here. Same equations, the limit from 0 to 2. So it's 0 to 2 over here. And now what is the answer? It is the same answer, but it'll be the positive. So now add them up. When you add it up, so I'll just multiply it by 2 because we're adding the same thing. 4.047, right? Now the final answer must be the same. Then 5 minus 4 will give you 4.047. So if there is no modulus, it's very straightforward. Just that limit needs to be solved. Once you get the 3 points, split it out. You don't need to worry about the function, first function, second function, upper, lower. No, just find it. If the value is negative, just take the magnitude of it. In the sense, it's the value only. Over here also you get the value, add them up, and then compare with the 4 options. Similarly, you can solve these problems by yourselves, guys. Now over here you can use the table method to get the graph, but sine and cosine, it's very simple. Cosine starts from 1 at x value 0, whereas sine starts from below. So this is how we get it. You don't need to worry about which is upper and lower, but over here till 0 to 2 pi. Now here you must remember one thing. It's not about the intersecting points only, it's about where it starts. They have clearly mentioned we need to start from 0 to 2 pi, right? So the first value will start at first limit. See, it starts with 0 until where it intersects. It always intersects at pi by 4. Next one will be add again pi, it will be intersecting over there. If you know thoroughly trigonometry, then this is very easy. It starts from 0 to pi by 4. Next one, it will be from pi by 4 to 5 pi by 4. And then from 5 pi by 4 to the ending point where they have told us 2 pi. Make sure you solve each of these values individually. Now over here you will get some value. Say imagine you got 2, over here you might get 3.5, over here you might get 3, add them up at the end. You might get plus or minus, just take the value of it. Now similarly over here, try to sketch a rough graph. You will get approximate points. You won't get the accurate. See, one answer that is 0, you will get it accurately. But this one, right, it's just a hunch. You can take it as 0.7 and then check for the answer. You will never be able to find that 0.7145. That's not possible. It's possible only in graphing calculators and other things. So over here, we just take it approximately and solve it up. Technically, such problems may not come because, if you're using graphing calculator, yes, we can easily find these points and then do it up. But otherwise, such graphs will just take a long time and everything. So this is how it is. But please be thorough with the starting part of the question. Most probably it'll be a simple equation, simple graphs. You don't need to graph it up. Just make them equal. Maybe it's a quadratic or cubic. Find the limits and directly use the formula. Doesn't matter which is upper or lower, you will get the answer anyways. Same way over here. Please do try them by yourselves. Over here are the sketches as well. Same thing over here. And all the solutions are worked out. It's just that after graphing, approximate the limits and get the limits. Now here as well. Now, natural logarithm function, it'll be from year to year. And over here we have a quadratic. So whenever you have such problems, natural logarithm, if you want to graph, you can take minus values, but you will get an error because it doesn't exist at the minus, right? So start only from 0 to 2. That's it. It'll take very, very short time. For 0 to 2, take some 4 to 5 values. Over here also from 0 to 2, take some values, plot them. You will get some points like this. 1, 2, 3, draw it. And then better to change your pen or the color and plot another few points. You will come to know the approximate point, guys, not the accurate point. Over here I can take it as 0.1. Here it might be 1.5 or something, and then put it in the limit, and that's how you solve these problems. And that is the end of the question 1. It has been a lengthy one. Please try to focus on the initial part of the questions, which are very easy and they are most likely to come for the exam. For the next part, it's just that use your calculator, mode 7 table, graph approximately, and then try to take the approximate limit and solve it up. Question 2 is to compute volume by means of definite integration where areas of cross sections are given. Basically, these are the easiest of all problems because the area is given. You just have to find the volume. That is by integrating this at the given limits. That's it. Now, these can be directly done in the calculator. I'll show you now. All you need to know is the formula, that is integral. This is the formula. Then area. Over here, what is the area? It's alpha x plus 2. What are the limits? It's from -1 to 3. This is the easiest of all. The area is 12 units square. You can see that's the answer. Sorry, it's not unit square, it's unit cube because we are finding the volume. Same thing with the other one. Just press this over here. That's integral. Type in the equation 10 e to the power 0.01 alpha x. And then over here the limit, start with the lower limit. That's always the smaller value, 0 to 10. And that's the answer. Here your answer is given as 1000 times e to the power 0.1 minus 1. That is 105. Let's see it. 1000 multiplied. So use the brackets over here. Sorry. Use brackets. Shift LAN gives you e 0.1 minus 1. Close the bracket. The answer is 105.17. It's the same answer. Similarly, please solve the others. Now here, please remember your exam answers won't be in like 78 or a single value. It might be like this. So how do you solve this? Just put this in the calculator and press SD. You will get the value. I will show you. Type the value over here as it is. All the answers you must do this. Press equal to and then press SD. This is the answer, 58.64. When you use the calculator method, you will get a decimal form. So check which matches with the 4 options and whichever matches is the correct answer. That is the end of the question 2. The question 3 is to find volume of solids of revolution using method of disks. Here, it is similar to the question 17, and I would highly encourage all of you to go to question 17, watch it thoroughly, and then come back here. Because if you watch that video first, this will be a very easy video. Now, here you must remember 2 things. Is it rotated about the x-axis or the y-axis? If it is about the x-axis, that means it's like this. Even it can be y is equal to 2. That is about the x-axis itself, okay? Because it'll be like that. Now, that time, it'll be dx, integral with respect to dx. If it's along y-axis, it's with respect to y. So these are the 2 things you must remember. If you're thinking, why is it like that? Now, this is the equation. You're rotating it along the x-axis. It comes down like this. And this is the disk formed, right? Now, from the center, what is the radius? This is the radius. This radius will be y equals to, say, it'll be like x squared plus 4 or something like that. So this is what we will integrate over here. Once you get a hang of it, you'll be thorough with it. So just remember for now, x-axis means dx, y-axis means dy with respect to y. Now let's look into a problem. Let R be the region bounded by the graphs 1/4 x squared, x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 1. Compute the volume of solid form by revolving R about the y-axis here. Here it's along the y-axis. That means what's the formula? That is pi integral a to b. Now here it is f of y here. We have to square it and it will be dy. This is important. Let's quickly go back to the previous page. Over here the formulas are there. You can see that's the formula. Now I have written pi outside the integral because it's constant. That's fine. Now you should know whatever your figure will be something like this. Okay, because you will be rotating it along y-axis. So this, whatever is the graph, will come to the left side. If it is along x-axis, it will be down. So we take the upper axis, positive sides. Now y means from here to here. X is from up to down. Okay, please keep that in mind. Now let's just draw a rough graph, not accurate graph. Half x square, 1/4 x square. So this is a parabola, something like this, and it'll touch over here 0. Now x is 0. Okay, that means x-axis. Now this is y is 0. This is the line. Okay, and what else? Y is 1. So when y is 1, we will draw a straight line. Imagine this is 1. Now, which is the enclosed region? This is the enclosed region. Let me just change the color. This, and this part. Okay, it's from 0. So this is the graph. This is the thing. And over here, y is 1 here. This is 0. Now, what is happening? We are rotated along y-axis. That means like this. So what happens is this goes to the other side and it is revolved. So that is the disk formed. But we don't need to know this entire figure. If we just know this part, it's enough, because we want only radius, that is from center to 1 point only, right? So that is the thing. But here, can I use this equation directly? Is it possible? No, isn't it? This is the equation, f of y, right? But here we must write it in terms of y. So basically, x is equal to what? So 4 goes to the other side, it's 4y, and it must be the square root on both the sides. So this is the equation which we must consider. It is square root of 4y. Now then, we have to just substitute and solve it. Oh, before that, what are the intervals? This is another important thing. Now, these intervals, right, are along the y-axis, 0 to 1. Why? Because they have clearly told x is 0 and y is cutting at 1, right? So that's it, 0 to 1. So the pi integral 0 to 1, over here we have root 4y, the whole square dy. Just put this in the calculator, that will be your answer. Here now we will use the integral symbol, use the brackets. 4y is not there, we just write it as x itself. I forgot to write the square root. Now it's square root 4x. I'll just delete these. Okay, and now over here I can just write 0 and 1. And if you want, you can write pi inside over here. I'll show you. You can, not inside the square, over here, pi multiplied by. The answer is 2 pi. Let me just change this out. Okay, let me take this out and let me put it out. See, over here I'll write pi multiplied by, and it's going to be the same answer. There's no change because it's a constant. You can write it inside the integral, outside the integral, doesn't matter, as long as it's multiplied. So that's the answer, guys. Here you can see, now here it's all in detail. This is the graph. We have to get in terms of x is equal to root 4y. And now when it rotates over here, you can see this is the part formed. Now what you can understand is this is the disk, this is the radius. We can solve it by using the formula. First writing it in terms of x here, and then what are the limits? It's along the y-axis. So y, look at the y-axis, 0 to 1. Apply everything over here. The answer is 2 pi. Okay, 2 pi means pi is 3.14, multiply it 2 times, it will be 6.28 unit cube. Now here then, we have to just solve the method of disks. The washer methods are all done. So it's only the axis part. Now here we will draw a rough sketch for this graph. It's going to be 2 minus x. Minus x means going downwards and 2 is the y-intercept. It's something like this. And y is 0. That means this part. X is also 0, this part. So now here from this graph I can tell this is the part which we have found out. And this part is 2 over here, and along which axis? Along the x-axis now. That means I'm rotating along over here. So what is this point? Here this is 0. What is this point? I need to find that for the limit. Then only I can, use the integral formula. The formula over here now, pi a to b, you can write the limits. F of x the whole square dx. Why? Because it's along the x-axis. And now the limits are this line, whatever is that. So how can I find that is, I need to see which are the two lines that are intersecting here. Which are the two lines? This line is given as 2 minus x. And what about this line? This is y is equal to 0, right? So now over here, let's equate these both equations. That's y equals y. So it'll be 0 equals 2 minus x. What's the x value? X is basically 2. So this point over here is 2. So now we know the limit over here is 0 to 2. What about the f of x function? That is y is equal to 2 minus x the whole square dx and pi. Just put it in the calculator and you'll get the answer. So I've typed this equation as it is. You can see it's pi integral 0 to 2 minus x the whole square dx. Just press equal to, it's 8 by 3 pi, or it's 8.37. So both might be the answer. It's in terms of unit cube. So this is the answer. Now look at this next problem. This is not the method of disk. This was done in the question 17. It is a method of washers, because you have two different the radiuses, and you have a different formula here. So now we'll stick only with the first part, that is method of disks. What about this one over here? Now let's just simply graph this out. Y is equal to root x. The square root x is something like this, isn't it? That's the graph. And y is equal to 2. So let me just draw it a bit like this. And y is equal to 2. Imagine that's the line. And x is 0. So x is 0, is this the line? So let's just highlight the point of the intersection points, the enclosed region. So that's the region. Now about the y-axis, that means along this it will be something like this. So now this is again a disk form. Over here now, since it's along y-axis, the formula is a to b pi over here f of y the whole square dy. You can see this is an easy formula, whereas for the washers it's a bit complicated. You need to find two radius and all that. For this, it's just this equation, direct substitution, nothing much in this. So now over here, once we know this one, let's see what is the limits. 0 to what? Y is 2, so it's very easy. 0 to 2 is the limit already obtained. What is the function? But now here you must have this as x is equal to. So square on both the sides. Over here you get x is equal to y square. So y square. And what about dy? Just write it. Put it in the calculator and you'll get the answer. We don't even need to do the detailed graph or anything. That's the answer over there. I just realized I forgot to square it up. Over here the square, because I wrote y square, I just forgot it. It's really y square the whole square. So I put it in the calculator. This is the answer. It's 32 by 5 pi, or 20.1. So you can see 32 by 5 pi is the answer here. That's it. And here this is by the method of washes, which is already done in question 17. Now here then, see, whenever you're rotating along any of these points, this becomes a washer problem. When it's along x or y axis, it'll be a disk problem. We're only dealing with disk problem. Now both the things are there, so let's do it. The formula for y-axis is pi a to b f of y whole square dy. And what about this? It'll be same thing. Pi integral a to b f of x now whole square dx. Now then, the region are bounded by this region over here. This is the equation. Its graph is given, so it's much easier. But you can see 4 is the intercept, and minus 2y, minus slope, it goes down and touches over here. Now if you want to find the intersecting point, you can just equate the lines and also find it. Now when it's rotated along the y-axis, what happens is it's like a triangle that is formed. Now then we need the equation as x. So rearrange this. X is equal to, over here it will be 2x. We'll take to the other side, it will be 4 minus y. X is equal to 4 minus y divided by 2. This is in terms of x for the first one. But what is the limit? 0 to 4, right? Pi integral 0 to 4. Over here we have 4 minus 1 divided by 2 the whole square dy. Put in the calculator, you get for the y-axis. What about the x-axis? We will take the same equation, 4 minus 2x directly. Sorry, it's x. The whole square, don't forget the square. What is the integral limit? 0 to 2 over here, because it's this one. For y, it's along the y-axis. For x-axis, it's along x-axis itself. 0 to 2 pi. Put it in the calculator now, both of these equations, and that will be answers. In order to substitute, press this integral symbol, type it out 4 minus, now use the fraction symbol, divided by 2, and minus, variable is only x. Now close the brackets and square it up. And then what are the limits? It's 0 to 4. And over here you need to write pi as well. You can write multiplication symbol or no need. It is already multiplied. So the first answer is 16 pi by 3. What about the second one? Over here only I'll just do the rearrangements. No, it's better I write it again because over here there is no fraction now. It'll be 4 minus 2x. Close the bracket and square it up. And the limits are from 0 to 2 over here. 0 and 2, and we have to write a pi. Even if you put multiplication, it's fine. It's 32 by 3. That's the answer, 32 pi by 3. And these are all washer problems. Two radiuses are involved. So this is how we can solve easily for method of disks. And you can do check the answers over here for the washer, and it's also done in the question 17. And now this one over here, similar problem again. We will just do the graph quickly. It's only the first and the second one. X and Y axis forms the method of disks. First, graph this parabola. A rough sketch is enough. Y is equal to x squared. Okay, that is not a good one. Okay, something like this. It should touch the over here 0 point. Y is 0. So y is 0 is this. And x is 1. So x is 1 is somewhere over here. So this much we know. Now let's highlight the point of consideration. This point over here, this and this. So when it is revolved along the y-axis, what happens? It cannot be considered. Why? Because it will be a hollow. So now if you just look into this, the first one you will have radius, two radiuses. This is the washer problem. So I'm sorry for that. I thought it's going to be y-axis, but no. But x-axis, yes. It's going to be a disk problem. Why? Because when you revolve around x-axis, this is going to come down. It'll be a disk. Now this is the radius. So let's solve this. The formula is 0 to a to b. Limit pi is outside. F of x, the whole squared dx. Now, what is the equation given? It's already in terms of x. So it write x squared, the whole squared dx. What is the limit now? This is how much? 0. What is this line? We have the line at 1. Already we know the limit. 0 to 1 pi. Put this in the calculator and that will be the answer. Now I've typed this equation as it is in the calculator and the answer is 1 by 5 pi, or it can be 0.63 unit cube. So that will be the answer over here. You can see it's pi by 5 is same as 1 by 5. Now over here, let's do this one. Let's do C. Why? Because C will be also method of disks. Now I will just erase a little bit. I'll just remove this part. This is just a rough sketch over here. Now x is equal to 1 means this line, right? The x is equal to 1 line. If we revolve around this line, what's going to happen? This will be something like this. It's going to be a disk again. And this is the radius now. Here, what will be the limit? Now, a very important thing to remember, when you have x is equal to y, this is along y-axis itself, parallel to y-axis, right? So you must have the equation x is equal to in terms of y. So what is x is equal to square root y? This is not the equation which we will directly use. The formula is a to b pi f of y squared dy, right? Now what are the limits? What is the limit along the y-axis? It's over here 0. What is this point? Now which are the two lines that touch over here? That is x is equal to 1. And what are the other thing? That is basically over here, this one, right? Y is equal to x squared. Now here, please remember, we are not finding the x-axis. We have to find y values. So we have to take these both equation, x is equal to 1, and get this in terms of x. What it was, x is equal to root y, right? Now we will equate x is equal to x, so we can solve root y is equal to 1. What is y is equal to? Take the square on both the sides. Y is equal to 1. So this point is basically y is 1. And if you know the graph of y is equal to x square parabola, at 1 over here, the y value is also 1 because it will be 1 square, it's 1 itself. So now the limits we got 0 to 1 pi. This is dy. What is the equation that we need to square? Now here this is very important. I will just draw the graph over here. It's like this, right? Now we are not at 0. See, this is the 0 point. We are not over there. We are over here now. From here to here, what is happening? Now from this axis, what is exactly happening? You can see that it is 1. Total is 1, right? Because that is the distance here. But that subtracted by this part, because we are to 1 is more. 1 minus what? 1 minus this equation will be there. So if you're looking at the bottom, yes, it's entirely 1. But if you're coming up, what is the radius? 1 minus this equation, isn't it? So if you only look at the bottom, it's at full 1. Then it will start reducing by little. That's why what we do is 1 minus this particular equation. Based on this equation, we have to reduce it. So the equation becomes 1 minus what is x? It is root y. Now this is the formula that is formed. Now all you need to do is substitute this over here. It is same limits, but over here it is changing. That will be 1 minus root x, because we can't put in y, and that's the answer. That's the whole square, and the answer is it's 0.5235. Now you might be thinking why we are not getting pi by 6, but I'll show you. This is same as pi by 6. So 0.5235, right? If I have pi divided by 6, what is the answer? It is 0.5235. So it's the same thing. It's equivalent, and that's the answer. But to understand exactly how it works, a basic sketch is required, and then based on your understanding which axis it's rotating, understand these points, write the formula and the equation. So that's how we can solve it. All the others are washer problems. You can see there are two values to be subtracted. Even over here, this minus this, so therefore there are two values. And here also, please to try it by yourselves, at least this one, because the equations are simple as well. And then you can just compare over here. These are all the answers. Now over here, since the line is 1, all these are washer problem. B, C, and D, you can see. Only A is the disk problem. And the disk problem are the easiest of all. That's the end of the question 3. Please try to graph a simple sketch, understand which axis it's being rotated, then write the formula, put in the equations, and then solve it up. The question number 4 is to find an arc length using definite integration. The arc length formula is given like this. Integral limits a to b, square root of 1 plus f prime of x, means the derivation of the function whole square dx. Please remember this formula and we can solve any of these problems. Here we have been given the function. First thing is derive them up. So it's very important to remember how to derive. Here derivation of 2x plus 1 d by dx is just 2. Same way, what about the next problem? Let's look into this. Natural logarithm secant x. So over here what happens is the derivation, that is d by dx, 1 by secant x. And what is the difference here? It's a chain rule. See, ln x is over, but instead of x we have secant x, so we wrote over here. Now then we have to derive whatever is over here. After this is done, this one. Secant derivation is secant x into tan x, isn't it? So this and this cancels, your answer is only tan x. And now you use this in the formula. The formula is integral a to b square root 1 plus derivative, that is f prime or f dash of x, the whole square dx. Just substitute this equation, so sorry, this one over here. Let's use our calculators. So let's press this symbol over here. That gives us integral square root 1 plus, now first let's start for 2 square, don't forget the square. And what are the limits? Limits will be given to you. It's 0 to 2. And press equal to, the answer is, now let's see the answer whether it's given. No, it's given as 2 root 5. But what we got is 4.47, and they both are equal because 2 root 5 is 4.47, isn't it? Same way over here, Integral, what is the derived of a square root? 1 plus tan x, and then square it up. Don't forget to square it up. You can put a bracket or be careful, properly square it. And then the limits are given as 0 and pi by 4. So now over here you can, don't write in degrees, write in pi by 4. Don't forget to change the mode to radian. Shift mode and 4, that is radian. And what is the answer? It's 0.8814. This is the correct answer. Or it might be in terms of ln -2 or something like that. Just be careful. Compare, solve all the options and compare which is the correct one. Same way you can do all these problems. Here, please be careful. The derivation is very important. Now, over here, they have done u substitution and everything. That's not required. A simple derivation is enough. This is just power rule. When you derive it, it's going to be, let's write the question first, 3 by 2 plus 1. Differentiation of this will be, this comes down, it will be 3 by 2 times. 3 by 2 is 1.5. Minus 1 is half. This is 0. So here it is 2 times, it's 2 times 3 is 6x power half. Okay, or 6 root x. Let's type it in the calculator here. It's square root 1 plus 6x to the power half. Now I need to square this up, and it's just not for the x, it's the entire thing. So use the brackets properly and square it. And over here it's 1 to 2. The answer is 7.38 and so on. So if you know the the differentiation, it's pretty straightforward. Here also, just remember to derive it properly. E to the power 2x derivation is e to the power 2x times chain rule, this one. Over here, e to the power minus 2x times minus 2. Don't forget that. And over here, there's nothing else. I'll leave 1 by 4th out itself. And this 2 and 2 can be taken out. It will be out in the numerator. So you're remaining with e to the power 2x minus e to the power minus 2x. And this is basically half here, 1 by 2. So you can put this in the calculator and solve it up. This is the derived f prime of x. And the answer will be 1.81. Similarly, please solve the others. You can see most of them are worked out over here. And you can check the answers over here. Just differentiation and then use the limits. The limits will be given for all the problems. Okay. That's the end of the question number 4. Just remember differentiation, differentiate it, use the formula, everything in calculator. Question 5 is to find the surface area of solids. The surface area formula is given over here. It is the integral limits a to b, 2 pi f of x, that's the given function, multiplied with the square root of 1 plus f prime of x the whole square dx. You might remember this much, see this much, is the last formula, that is arc length formula. Only 2 pi x or f of x, the function, is the addition. That is to find the surface area. Now let's look over here. These problems, very simple. First you need to know the formula. Let's write it out over here. A to b, 2 pi, and the function is the extra thing. Function f of x means y, okay? This is f of x. And what else? Square root of 1 plus f prime of x the whole square dx. This is it. You need to derive each function. Over here it's 2x derivation. Here it's x minus 2x. Sorry, it's not x, it's 2 over here. I don't know what happened to me. It's 2 minus 2x. And over here it is 3x squared minus 4, and this becomes 0. Sine derivation is cosine x. Now with these, you can easily solve the problems. Let's take our calculators. So let's start writing it out. Integral this symbol. And then we need to write 2 pi. You can even write 2 pi out of the integral because it's the constants. But we can write any way you want. Now write the function. Let's start with the first problem. It's simple. X squared, close the bracket, multiply it with square root 1 plus, over here derived function, it's 2x. Then again over here brackets are required because you have to square only the derived part, power 2. And what are the limits? This must be given 0 to 1. And that is the answer. You can see it is 3.8097. What about the next one? Same thing. Over here, when you solve, you must keep it in radian mode. Now it's already in radian mode, that's fine. For these problems, it's radian or not in radian degrees, that's fine. No problem at all. Better to clear the calculator now and then, but whenever you see trigonometry, let's put a radian. Over here it is pi, the upper limit. The below limit is correct, 0 itself. And what is the derived function? Here it is cos x. So you need to close the bracket for cosine x and then outside bracket as well. And then we have the given function, right? What is the given function here? It is sine x. So we write sine and again close the bracket, and that's the answer. Okay, since it's radian, it's fine, but otherwise you should press shift, mode, and 4 to change to radian. The answer is 14.42. Similarly, please solve the others. It's a very straightforward problems. Here as well, it's all simple. Over here, cosine derivative is minus sine. Remember that. Now, when you square it, it becomes positive itself, but remember, derivation is minus sine. Here it is 1 by x derivation. Ln is 1 by x, then you square it up, so 1 square x square. Please do them all by yourselves and then check for the answers, which are all solved here. That is the end of question 5. The question 6 is to solve physical problems involving velocity. Here we have to determine the initial conditions. Now, a question is given: an object is dropped from a height of 80 feet. You can see the height is the initial condition, that is y of 0. That is the first basic thing, okay? Y, given function, it's y. When you derive this, you get its velocity. Y dash is velocity. This is the initial velocity. If you double derive this, then you get the acceleration. This is basically the height. You can write it a height or position. Then this is velocity or the speed. And this is the acceleration. So that's the things. Now over here, what is given? Only the height is given. So it's y naught of 0, that is 80 feet. That's it. Is the velocity mentioned? No, velocity is 0. What about over here? An object is dropped from a height of 100 feet. So the height is 100 feet. That is y naught of 0. Y naught of y of 0 is 100. The velocity is not mentioned, so it's 0. Here, an object is released from a height of 80 feet with an upward velocity of 10 feet per second. This is, yes, 60 feet, fine, which is the height. But they have told upward velocity going up, so plus 10 is y dash of 0. So this is plus 10. It's very important to mention the sign. And over here, you can see the height is 20 feet and downward velocity of minus 4 feet. So it's minus 4. So this is how we solve these problems. Again, I think so. This is the easiest of all. And even question 2 was very, very easy. I'll see you all in the next question. Question 7 is to solve problems on projectiles. Here we have a problem, real world problem. An object is launched at an angle theta equals pi by 6 from the horizontal with the initial speed v0 is equal to 98 meter per second. Determine the time of flight and the horizontal range of the projectile. Let's understand this with the help of pictures, over here. This is the basic graphs. I'll tell you what exactly is happening. When you launch an object, it'll go at an angle. Obviously, this is the angle theta, and it's mentioned over here, this angle is given as pi by 6. Now, if you're thinking how much is pi by 6, it's around 30 degrees. Now then, this velocity is also given 98 meter per second. So this is 98 meters per second, and this one over here is pi by 6. So this is what they have told. We need to find the time of flight. That means how long. Now if it's launched like this, it'll eventually go up and then it'll fall down, right? How long will it take to fall down? And the range means how long did it go? So these are the things we need to measure. Whenever you have an angle like an inclination and a velocity, we can resolve it into the vertical and the horizontal components, isn't it? The horizontal component is given over here, it's shown v cos theta, v naught cos theta, that is the velocity, initial velocity, cos theta is the angle, and similarly v naught sine theta. And what about this? Now this is basically the graph of it. That is just for understanding. Now, if you understand this part, it's more than enough, but this is also important. Why? Because we will have to use these as the initial conditions. Now, after the sketch of the graph, we need to understand the figures and then we can see what needs to be solved. What exactly needs to be solved here? The time, right? So that will be basically t, and the range is x of t, that is x-axis, right? Horizontal range. Basic things, finding the velocity and the position functions. Now, what is the acceleration due to gravity? That is given as y double dash with respect to time. It's always negative 9.8 meter per second square. This is always constant. Now, what happens when you derive this? When you integrate this, what happens when you integrate it? When you integrate it, you will be getting negative 9.8 t. This is just minus 9.8. This is the unit. Ignore that. Plus c, right? Now, what is the c? This is y means it's vertical, x means it's horizontal, right? Now let's find out what is v naught sine theta. That is the vertical component of the velocity. It's 98 sine pi by 6. So you need to put that in the calculator and find it. Here it's 98 times sine pi by 6. Use the fraction pi divided by 6. Now if your calculator is not in the radian mode, you need to change it to radian. Shift mode and 4, and the answer is 49. So the c value here is 49, that is in terms of meter per second. Over here I'll just write y dash is negative 9.8 plus 49. Now the thing is, this is an MCQ problem, but still you have to do the methods. There is no direct way to jump to the solution. You can do shortcuts over here. Once you're thorough with this, you can do it quickly. Now still one more time you need to derive to get the position y. Okay, the position is just y. That would be negative 9.8 t squared by 2 plus 49t plus c. Now, is there anything given about the vertical position or height or anything? Nothing, right? So this is c is 0. So you can ignore that directly, okay? You can substitute and solve and everything, but it'll just take time, and we have done it in the lesson explanations. So now just remember, if nothing is given, just take it as 0. This will be negative 4.9 t squared plus 49t. So this is the position y. This is all with respect to time. It's y of t. So you can see that will be the answer. And the initial velocity is given over here. You need to solve it up and substitute it back. That's what we got. That is y dash. And then again, position integrated again, you will get this over here equation, negative 4.9 t squared and 49t. Now altitude is 0. That's the equation, final equation. So that's the position we have got. Now what we can do is we can find the time of flight. But what I would suggest is do the x derivation as well. What is the acceleration first of all? X double dash. It's 0. Nothing is given about the horizontal acceleration. We know only gravity acts downwards. So we take minus 9.8 meter per second squared along y double dash. But horizontally, do you push anything? Like, is there any forces, horizontal forces? No, it's not mentioned. So let's just integrate the acceleration of 0. That is integration of 0. What is it? Nothing. That is only plus c. So here integration of 0 would be plus c. It's not a constant. Remember, it's basically only c. And then what is the constant value? C is equal to basically here v naught cosine theta. We know the theta value, and v naught we will find cosine theta now. We know this c value now. Here we have just typed sine, just change this to cosine. Delete this and make it cosine, and the answer is 49 root 3. So the c value over here we got is 49 root 3. Basically this is x dash, the velocity is 49 root 3. That's it, the constant. Now we'll find the position. How do you find? Integrate this again, it will be 49 root 3 times t plus c. Do we have anything regarding the position, horizontal position? No, so we just take this as 0, okay? So it will be 49 root 3 t will be x. That is the horizontal position equation. Now, why do we want to find the time of flight? Because that has been asked, right? But how can you find it? So now this is the equation, right? Now what this is, if you graph it up, it goes something like this, the projectile, and it falls down. So when you make this y of t equal to 0, that means height is 0 at this axis. So it should be at the origin and it will be at the time it will fall down. So ignore, you will get two answers because it's quadratic. Ignore 0 and whatever the other answer is there, that will be your final answer. That is the time, sorry. There are two final answers. That'll be one of the final answer. Let's take our calculators. Here now, finding the time of flight when, I just explained over here, the object hits the ground when the height is 0, isn't it? So we just substitute this as 0. It's quadratic equation now. Mode 5 and 3. Substitute the coefficient. It's minus 4.9. And then we have 49t. And there is no constant term. It's 0. So what are the answers? 10 and 0. So over here the answer is already there. So t is 10 and 0. This means this is the initial height. Yeah, because we launch it from 0 and it will fall down after 10 seconds. So the time it takes to land or the time of flight is basically 10 seconds. Now we have to do the horizontal acceleration. Over here that is with x. So you need to just integrate this and get the c value. We just now did it, right? This is, we also got 49 root 3, and then over here integrate this to get the position, you get time, multiplied by t. C becomes 0. And what is the landing time? It takes 10 seconds, isn't it? So from here to here, the graph, basically it takes 10 seconds. Now if you multiply this horizontal equation with 10, you come to know what is the distance covered. So just multiply this by 10, you get the horizontal distance. That's it. So multiplied by 10 and whatever is the answer is your final answer. So it takes, it covers 848.7 meters. So that is the answer. So that's how we solve this. Now here again it's the same problem, same methods, but only thing is the theta value is changed. So let's do it quickly now because it's the same thing we're doing. So what I would do is, since it's MCQ, no need of all the steps, I'll directly take y double dash, that's acceleration, is minus 9.8. And y dash will be minus 9.8 t plus c. This c is found out with the horizontal, the vertical component, that is this vertical component, that is v naught sine, vertically, or vertical always is sine theta, and over here it is v naught cos theta. So let's find it out in the calculator. All you need to do is this speed, see it is, velocity is 98 into sine theta is pi by 3. Your calculator must be in radian mode because it's in pi. The answer is 49 root 3. Let me just write it over here. That is 49 root 3. And even over here it's the same thing. Plus c will be minus 9.8 t plus 49 root 3. Now what I can do is just quickly change this to cosine and find the cosine value as well. It is just 49. So horizontal, it will be 49 here. Now we need to find the position, that is y. So you need to know acceleration is y double dash. Velocity, when you integrate this, you'll get velocity y dash. And again integrate this, you will get y, that is the position. Now what is this? It will be 9.8 t squared divided by 2 plus 49 root 3 t plus c. The constant is 0 because there's no altitude given. So let's just solve this. It will be 4.9 t squared plus 49 root 3. That's done. Now if you want, we can find the time right now. Just equate this to 0 and solve it. By the way, this all is with respect to time. Okay, the variable is all time. But I'm just not writing it in detail because this is all MCQ part, just to get the answer here. X double dash of t, basically acceleration, and the horizontal position is 0. There's nothing. So x dash will be integration of this, that's c. But what is c value? It is just 49. Now what will be the position? Sorry, position is x only. This is not there. So it must be only x. That is 49t plus c. And what is c over here? There's nothing given. So it is x is equal to 49t is the answer. Now here, let us equate this to 0 and solve it up. 0 is equal to negative 4.9 t squared plus 49 root 3, right? Let's put in the calculator and find the t values. Here it is mode 5 and 3 quadratic. It's negative 4.9. Then we have 49 root 3. So close the bracket. And over here, it's 0 itself because there's... Okay, now I have missed one thing. This one over here is t and t. This is the constant value 0. And now the answer is 10 root 3 and 0. So t value is 10 root 3. If they ask you the time of flight, this is the answer. Now what about the horizontal range? Just multiply 49 into 10 root 3. That is what? 490 root 3. 490 root 3 is the answer. Or just put in the calculator and you'll get it. That is 490 or 49 into root 3. It's the same thing. That is 848.7. Now here you can see they have just written as 49 into 10 root 3. That's also fine, but you can solve it as 848, whatever the answer you get in the calculator. Now here we have the same problem again, but it's just that the angle is 30 degrees and speed over here is 40. Then you have to repeat it at the 60 degrees. It's the same thing. But if you're using degrees, remember, don't keep in radian, just change it to degree mode. Please try this by yourselves. It's the same thing what we are doing over here. And now next part over here is from the example 5.5. Venus Williams, one of the greatest, women tennis player, has one of the fastest serves in women tennis. Suppose that she hits a serve from a height of 10 feet at an initial speed of 120 miles per hour. This is mph, miles per hour, and an angle of 7 degrees below the horizontal. So it's going downwards, negative 7 degrees. The serve is in if the ball clears a 3 feet high net, that is 39 feet away, and it hits the ground in front of the service line 60 feet away. Now, and determine whether the serve is in or out. So what happens is whenever you serve in tennis, this is the net which is 39 feet away, right? It must pass. Now, if it touches the net, it will fall in this court and it's a foul. It must pass this, so it must be more than 3 feet. And what happens is it must not go outside the service line. If it falls over here, then no, there is no, this is out. It must fall within this region. See this region, this line is there, right? Anywhere in this region. So we need to see with this particular, speed and this angle, whether the serve will go in or out. So let's try solving it. So over here, let's see in detail, and the next problem we'll solve directly, Write the given from the question. What is given over here? Now this is very important. Everything is in feet here, isn't it? But look at this, 120 miles per hour. This is changed to mph. Now instead of converting all the feet to miles, it's better to convert this miles per hour to feet per second. So the conversion is basically you multiply by 5280. That is from miles to feet. And why are you dividing this by hour? Because it's from hour to second we have to convert, feet per second. So this is the conversion. But generally in your exam, you will get in feet per second itself. But otherwise, just try to remember 5280 by 3600. Now 3600 is number of seconds in 1 hour. Now the angle over here is 7 degrees, but this is below the horizontal, so it's going downwards, so it's minus 7 degree. And the height over here is also mentioned, it's 10 feet high. That's the initial position. So now let's solve. How do you solve it? Let's do the vertical component, that is y double dash acceleration. Now don't use meter per second. What is it in feet per second? You must remember it is negative 32 feet per second square. That is the acceleration vertically. And now velocity is what? Integration of this, it will be negative 32t plus c. Now how do you find this? I hope you remember this. We just now did it, right? A while ago. Now for the vertical component, it's v naught sine theta. Here this is there and this is there. Now there is an important thing to remember. Let's take our calculators. Let's substitute it. 176, that is in feet, multiplied by sine minus 7 degrees, right? Is this a correct answer? That is wrong. Why? Because I was having my computer in the radian mode, shift mode. Now change it to degree. This is the correct answer. I hope this is clear. The C value is not 144 something. It's negative 21.44. Why? Because I'm using degrees for theta, right? So I must convert it into degrees. So whatever the theta value inputted is degrees. So here the answer will be See, negative 21.45 feet per second. Now integrate this, and what happens? So now this is what basically the initial, that is c value, constant value. Now this is the final answer, but you need to integrate this again to get the position. So over here, let us just integrate it. That's the position. When you integrate velocity, you get position, and over here, when you integrate it, it'll be t squared by 2, that is 32, divided by 2 is 16, minus sign remains, and over here it will be just a t multiplied and plus c. Do we have initial height over here? Look, they have given, that is 10. So c is what? 10, right over there as 10. So this is basically the vertical position. Let's do the horizontal one. X double dash is always 0. We start with 0, integrated, you get C. Now what is this? It is V naught cosine theta. But make sure you put minus 7 degrees and the calculator is in radian mode. Now solve it up. Here this is the value. So substitute back in over here this x dash of t equation. So you will get over here x dash of t as 174.69. Now integrate this to get the position. When you integrate it, you just multiply it by t. There is no constant value in the horizontal. They have told nothing about horizontal positions. So now there are conditions. At what is this horizontal distance? 39. What must be the height? It must be greater than or equal to 3. And at 60, this must touch, before 60, it must touch the ground. So the conditions I'll write. First, we can take x is equal to 39 and find, once you find that, you will find t over here, right? Use over here 39 and find the t value. Then substitute this t value in that horizontal height equation, y of t, and then check whether it is more than 3 or less than 3. That's the thing. Next thing, what you need to know is, what happens when it touches the ground? What is the height? Y of t will be 0. So we need to solve this equation at y of t is 0 and you'll find time, right? Then substitute the time over here in the horizontal distance and you can find whether it's outside or inside the boundary line. So let us see, these are the two conditions. We can see here, first case, x of t is what? This is the equation which we just now found out, the horizontal position. Substitute x of t of 39 because we saw in the net is 39 feet. So now solve for time, it is 0.223, and then now put this in the vertical position, that is the height. And over here, when you solve that, you will get the answer 4.42 feet. That means it's about 3 feet, right? The net was 3 feet. See the 3 feet high. It's more than that, so it's fine. The ball is high enough to clear the net. That's good. Now what we need to do is whether it lands before the height of distance of 60 feet. Let us check. Now we will consider the y of t as 0 and substitute in this equation over here. Solve for the time. You will get 2 times mod phi 3. One is 0.37 and one more is negative. Time can't be negative. Take only the positive value. And now substitute this in the horizontal distance. When you substitute over here 0.37, what is the answer? It is 64.6. That means what? It is away from the service line. It doesn't fall before the service line. If you see the figure in the previous slide, here, when she hits, it'll clear this net, but it'll go outside because the service line is there, right? It'll go outside that. So this is out, the serve is out basically. So you can tell it is by just 4.6 feet, it goes away. Since the serve lands beyond the service line, the serve is out. This is how we solve it. Now this is the detailed way to solve it. Now we have the same problem, only the difference is angle is 6 degrees. I'll solve it now. But here we will directly solve it. I mean, we will not go into more details, but now the thing is you need to know the initial values. I'll just go back to the problem, write the initial values and then continue. Now this is the initial values what we have. Now what we will do is start with acceleration, y double dash. Acceleration is how much? Now don't take it as minus 9.8. It is 32 feet per second square. So that is what I'll take. Now integrate this. You will get y dash, that is the velocity. So it will be minus 32t plus c. Now don't forget, how do we find the c value? C value over here is v naught sine theta. That will be, what is v naught? We have to take the same value, I believe. Okay, again, I'll just go back to the previous, oh no, sorry, over here it's given. Yeah. So 176 times sine. Now don't forget it's negative 6 degrees. So let us use the calculator and solve it. All I do is substitute these values as it is. It's in degree mode, and the answer now I got is negative 18.39. So I'll just write it over here. The answer is negative 18 point. I'll write it as 4 because it's 397. So this C value y dash is equal to minus 32t plus, sorry, it's minus now, 18.4. Now what is y, the position? Integrate this. It'll be negative 32t squared by 2 minus 18.4 by, sorry, nothing by, it is just multiplied by t plus c. What is the initial height? It's 10, so y will be equal to minus 32 by 2 is 16t squared negative 18.4t plus 10. That's it. That is with the horizontal part. Sorry, the vertical part. Y is always vertical. Now horizontal is the x. Y is done. Now this is vertical. This is horizontal. Now what we will do is we will take x double dash. What is it? 0. What is x dash? Directly write c. What is c now? Just change over here in this value from sine to cosine. It is 175.04. That is equal to 175.04, and what is x, that's the position, it'll be 175.04 time plus c, but c is 0, so this is it directly. Now we need to find whether the serve is above 3 feet or no, right? So here we have x of t, right? Now here you need to know what is the distance of the net. I'll just go back to the previous problem again and check because I forgot that. So that was 39 feet. The net is 39 feet. That is equal to 175.04 t. Take this to the other side. Just divide 170, whatever we have, just divide it by 39. 39 divided by answer. Now 0.222 you can just take. I'll just take it as 0.22. So time is basically 0.22. Now what you need to do is you need to substitute this time where over here and solve. So y of 0.22 is equal to, just substitute over here. I won't write it again. Let's do it in calculator directly. I have typed this equation over here. Let's calculate this at 0.22. So the answer is 5.17. Yes, that means it clears, you know. So 5.18 I'll write feet. So it goes above the net. That's fine. Now what about the other part? Will it fall within 60 feet? Because I saw that time it was 39 feet for the net and 60 feet was for the boundary line. Now then what you need to do is basically here solve this at 0. Because when y is 0, it will be a quadratic equation. Solve the time when it touches the ground. So let's just do it. So over here mode 5 and over here option is 3. It's negative 16 minus 18.4 and lastly we have 10. So 10 and let's solve it. It's 0.4 and negative. So we'll just take the positive value of time. We will just take t as 0.4 and substitute it in this equation here. So 175.04 times 0.4, sorry. Whatever the value, if it is exceeding 60, it will not, the serve won't be in, it will be outside. If it is less than this, then if it's less than 60, it will be inside. So here I've typed the values. Here, what is it? It's 70. That means it's away by 10 feet. So here we won't be able to get the serve as well. It is 70 something. So no, the serve will be out itself even in this case for 6 degrees as well. Now then, you can see here. Now over here in this particular problem, they have done all these the same thing, whatever we have done. They have not solved it. They have kept in theta. Why? Because they're finding the smallest and largest angle where the serve will be inside. So at 6 degree we did right. Whatever we just now did, that's correct. And then what, by trial and error, by changing the degree, how much will it be done? For this you need, a graphing calculator because it's not possible. And such problems won't come since you have MCQs, right? You'll be either asked to find for this angle or this angle, so not to worry about this. Over here, they are just finding which is the range of degrees it'll be allowed. So this is the range by using calculator, graphing calculator, and computer algorithms. The next problem is the same thing. You're just changing the speed. The same concept is repeated. But now for the same degrees, it's -7, but the speed now is different. We had about 175 or 76, I believe. Now it's reduced. So will it go in or no? You can solve this by yourselves. Same concept. Next concept over here also again is the same problem over here. And see, for different degrees, they have just tried out because they have told trial and error. For different degrees, these are the values. Now, there is another problem. The figure is given, and over here it's about the baseball. A baseball pitcher releases the ball horizontally from a height of 60 feet, and which has an initial speed of how much? 130 feet per second. Find the height of a ball when it reaches the home plate 60 feet away. Hence, determine the time of flight for X equation. Now, 1 minute, I'm just confused. From a height of 60 feet, it's not possible, you know. I think so. This is 6 feet. Why? Because 60 feet means it's 10 people who are 6 feet tall. It's not possible. It's not practically possible. This is an error in the question. It can't be 60 at all. It can be anything like 6 or 5 or something like that. And over here, determine the time of flight from the X equation and then use Y equation to determine the height. They're just telling you the equations, the horizontal and the vertical equations, right? Use this and use that. Now let's quickly solve it. Y double dash is how much? Now since they have given in feet, I will write it as 32 feet per second itself. Second squared. Next, Y dash will be what? Minus 32t plus C. Now what is C over here? Is the velocity given? The horizontal velocity is given. See, they have clearly told horizontally. The speed is horizontal. See, they have mentioned even in the figure. So this C is 0 basically, okay? There's nothing. And Y, that is the position, Y position, Y only is how much? Minus 32t squared by 2 plus C. Now, what is this value? This is the height. It's given as 6, right? So Y is equal to negative 16t squared plus 6. So this is about the vertical part. Vertical. Now horizontal is x double dash. That is equal to 0. What is x dash? We just convert this. This is constant. There's nothing, right? So it'll be a constant. Then what is the constant over here? They have told, see the initial speed. It's at the right side, so it is 130. Okay, it is feet per second. That's the velocity horizontally. And x will be what? Integrate this, will be 130t plus c. But do you have any horizontal distance or anything? No, so it is basically 130t itself. That's it. Now what next? Here we need to find what? The height when the ball reaches the home plate. Okay. So when x is equal to 60 feet, what is the height? What is y? So first let's find the time and then substitute it over there. So when x is equal to 60, that means 60 is equal to 130t. Cancel this, it will be 6 by 13 is equal to time. So at y of 6 by 13, what is the value? Over here, just put it in the calculator. Instead of t, put the 6 by 13. So all I have done is over here, minus 16 t squared. T is what? 6 by 13 squared plus 6. What is the answer? It's 438. Let's just find it like this. It's 2.59. So the value will be 2.59 here. So this is what they wanted, right? So find the height. It will be 2.59 feet from here when it's been thrown. Let's just check the answer. You can see over here, that's the final answer. It's 2.59 feet. That's how we solve this. Now here again the same concept, but what they have done is 80 feet. So the same thing, you just have to repeat it what we did over here, but change the speed to 80 and solve it up. Here's the solved problem, and that is the end of question 6. It's a bit lengthy, but just remember, first do vertical part. Y double dash acceleration is always 9.8 or negative 32. Both are negative. Horizontal is x. It starts with 0 and then you find the positions. You have to double integrate both the sides and then see what has been asked and solve accordingly. The question 8 is to compute integrals using direct computation and rules. Here we have integral problems, and you can see there are constants as well. Now these seem to be tricky at times, and over here they are just variable t or x. You can have any variable. Now instead of using any rules, I will tell you a shortcut method where only scientific calculator is required. For this shortcut, please remember to follow what I'm saying carefully. It will work for literally any integral problem. It is just that you must follow it correctly. Now, what you need to do first, you need to have the four options, otherwise you cannot solve it. You need to know the four options, and this is the MCQ part. You have the four options, so it makes your work very easy. You need to assume stuff. Now, generally, they will ask you only x as the variable, so you can assume the value for x. Now here, I will assume the value for x, say 1.5. This is what I generally assume almost all the time. When I am solving this, I assume 1.5. You can take it as 1, 2, 3, anything. But sometimes there are very, very rare cases where if you take 1, you may not get the correct answer. So this has happened. I cannot remember the exact question or anything, but there might be a chance where you will not get the correct answer. For this shortcut method, so just use 1.5, and you're using a calculator. You're not going to calculate anything. So it doesn't matter which value you assume. Now, what about this other constant a? You need to give it a value as well. I will take it as 2.5. You can take it as 2 as well. It's fine, but I generally go with 0.5s. Now, what you do is look at the questions, ignore the integrals. See, this integrals are ignored. Only the equation is what we are looking for. Is this clear? You're not going into the integral, all that. You're never going to use the sign, no integral sign at all. We are just going to use differentiation and direct substitution. The equations are over here, right? Type the equation over here. Shift natural logarithm gives you e. What is it? To the power a. What is a? This is for the question, not for the options. The given question. Ignore the integrals and see what is the value of a which we assumed. It's 2.5. Multiplied with, what do we have? X. 1.5. The answer is 42.52. So write this out. Write at least 3 to 4 decimals, okay? This is the answer. You don't need to round it off or anything. That's fine. Now then, what you do is, you will have 4 options. You need to differentiate all the options and then check which gives you this correct answer. Only one option can give you that. Let's start with the second option over here. What I have to do is, I have to use differentiation, that is shift and dy by dx. Now you need to type this. 1 divided by. Now you cannot put this as the variable. You need to substitute only a. X, don't substitute, guys. X, if it is x, right, you should take it as alpha x itself, and then you substitute the value at the end, not now. Okay, but if it's a value, you need to substitute its value. It's 2.5. Okay, 1 by a. What is this? E to the power. There is a, that is again 2.5 multiplied by, don't substitute 1.5 because your derivative will be wrong. There won't be a variable. You need to press alpha x. Then if you want, you can ignore this multiplication as well, because if you write against each other, it's multiplied already. Now then, there is plus c. I'll ignore it for now. I'll tell you in a minute. And what is the x value? I put it as 1.5. Now, the answer, this is what I put. This is the correct answer. Why? Because it matches. Now, if I change this, I'll change it to the next question. Second option. Look here. It was sine 2.5 multiplied by x. Okay, the answer is wrong. But this is what I will get over here. We will come to that in some time, but this is the wrong answer. So similarly, if you solve all the 4 options, only one option will match to what you got initially by putting the equation as it is with the substitution. That whatever matches is the correct answer. Now, one more thing, if you're thinking, what happened to the c? What is the differentiation of constant? Now, let us take 2.5. over here. And then we have multiplied by e to the power. A is again 2.5 multiplied by x, isn't it? Now it's not over. Say we add a constant value, say 998. And x value is 1.5. We are getting the same answer. Take any constant value. As long as it is constant, let me take it as 0. The answer is same. Why? Because differentiation of any constant is 0. It doesn't make a difference here. Derivative, right? This constant becomes 0 itself. Any value, it doesn't impact the answer. Therefore, we can easily use the differentiation technique to trace back what is the integration. So this is basically like a converse method, from the answers you get back the question basically. So this is how we solve it. So every problem, ignore the C value, just use the equation, derive it at the assumed X value and you should get the answer. Let's do this again. Now I will clear it off. Over here, I will type in this value. 1 by A is assumed to be 2.5. And then over here, multiplied with sine A again is 2.5. Multiplied with X, that is right, alpha and X. That's it. Now you need to close the bracket properly. And what is the X value here? We assumed it to be 1.5. So it should match whatever okay, we have not assumed, we have not found this. I'll find it out. But one thing, remember guys, this is the wrong answer. Okay, you can get it, but it's better to change this to radian mode, shift mode 4. Why? Because trigonometry is involved. The answer is supposed to be minus 8 0.82055. Now over here I will get no matter what. Now why I'm telling you radian mode is, even in degree mode, yes, you will get the answer because we're not looking for the value exactly. But if the value has pi over here, then it's a problem. It will be error. So whenever you see trigonometry, make it to radian mode. Now let me substitute the given question. Only the question, not the integrals. A is 2.5, but here don't leave x as like this. You need to substitute the x value 1.5. Now let's see what is the answer. It must be, okay, it's 1.5. It must be this answer over here. And yes, it is. So this is how we do integration directly. It's so simple, so easy, just by a calculator. But what happens is once you find this value, right? Over here it is 0.82055. It's negative. You need to do it for all the 4 options until you match. If the first option matches, that's the answer. Otherwise, go down, try the second, third, and fourth. One will definitely match. Now, if you're wondering how to do this problem, because we have secant here, isn't it? Don't worry, it's just the same. All you need to do is write what is secant. It is 1 by cosine, right? And then 2 times t. Now over here you need to assume a value for t. T is just like x. I will take t as 1.5. I generally take that itself. And now over here for this question you just type it out as it is, 1.5. Close the bracket, multiply it with tan 2t. 2 into 1.5. And now close the bracket. What is the answer? You're getting 0.1438. So now it's already in radians, so it's fine. Otherwise, you have to put it in radians and solve it. Write that value, whatever you get over here. I'll just change the color. It's 0.14398. Just a few values. Then, now solve this up. How do we solve this? Only this part. It is by shift d by dx. That is the derivative of half. That is 0.5. Or you can write 1 by 2. It doesn't matter. Secant, that is again 1 by cosine. Okay, now it's 2. Now don't write t here. Don't write 1.5. It will be a constant, right? Variable x. Close the bracket. What is the x value we consider? It's 1.5. No matter what, it should match this answer. Only one answer will match. All the others will not match. This is how you can easily eliminate the others and tell the correct answer. So this is the shortcut method. Let me do the last one. These are all same straightforward problems, just like what we did. Now here, you need to know the options. Otherwise, it's not possible. See, now this is tan inverse, right? Let's do it. Now, everywhere I'm going to assume x value of 1.5. So I'm not going to write it again and again. Now, only this value will be substituted. First, the question. So then it's easy to check which is the correct option. So this is it. Now you can write it as x square only directly and then calculate the x square, or you can directly substitute over here x as 1.5 square. It's up to you. For the given question, it's up to you. Then press equal to, and now it's 2 by 13. It's easy to remember, so I'll remember this. Okay. What do you do next? Shift dy by dx and write this half, that is 1 by 2 or 0.5, multiplied with tan inverse, shift tan inverse x, write it as x itself, not 1.5 here. Here at the end you put 1.5. Now this plus c doesn't matter, you put any value here, it will be considered as a constant. So I will just show you, you put 99 here. What's the answer? Okay, now the thing is, this is 2 by 3, okay? 1.538, it's 2 by 3. Let me just remove this constant value. If I even remove it, it's same thing, 0.15. What you need to do is, whenever you solve the given question, right, don't write it in fractions. I got 1 by 13 or something. Write it in decimal itself. Now I will show you 2 divided by 13 is the same thing. See, 1.3538 and so on. So this is how we can easily find and solve the answers for any integral problem as long as the options are given. That's the end of the question 8, and we will do the same method for all the other integrals as well. The question 9 is similar to the previous one. It is again to compute integrals by rules and computation methods. Do not worry, you can solve all the integral problems, doesn't matter whether the limits are given or not, using calculator. But you need to have the 4 options. I'll show it to you again. All you need to do is follow certain methods. I'll do the second one. It seems a bit difficult. For the first step, you have to just use the equation given, not the integral and dx. Ignore that. So ignoring whatever is, this and this, just the equation must be used, and you need to assume a value for x. I usually take x value of 1.5, or you can even change the value, you'll get the correct answer itself. Now here what you do is take the value as it is, 3 e to the power, okay, it's in the denominator, 3 is only in the numerator, e is shift and natural logarithm, press 6, and instead of x you can just put 1.5. When you're using the question, you need to just substitute the value. Now here you can see it is 3.7. So write this out. Write at least 2-3 values, and very important to write the power. Now you can see it's 10 power minus 4. Please do write that. It's 3.7022 into 10 to the power minus 4. You do not need to change the last number based on the next number and anything. Just write some values because we are doing an approximate measure. And now what you need to do is check which is the correct answer by solving all the options with its derivative. Now when you're typing, you need to press shift and dy by dx. That's the step 2. And then type this equation as it is. Please don't go to substitute anything for x here. It is 3 by 6 multiplied with e to the power raised to minus 6x. And then once you have typed it in, you need to put the x value outside over here, not directly. Because if you substitute it directly, imagine you substitute it over here, then you will get an error. I'll show you over here. Now if you put one of the correct answers, you will get the matching answer. So this is the correct answer. All the others values will change. But now what if you put this as over here only x is 1.5? That will be a constant value, right? It will just be a constant, it will be 0 because there is no variable over here. So please be careful. Now I'll just show you a simple change, okay? Simple change over here. Now this is the correct answer, but if I have just say minus over here or anything, will give me entirely different answer. It can never be the same. So this is how we can easily eliminate the other options and get the correct answer. You will have 4 options. You will have to do it for the first option, write the equation as it is and type in the x value. Do for the second, check whether it matches the question. Third, and then whichever matches is the correct answer. Now, if you're thinking, how does this method work? It's very simple. Look, what is integration? When you integrate, say, x to the power 2, you will get x cubed divided by 3, right? Now, what is differentiation? If I differentiate the answer, x cubed by 3, if I differentiate it, d by dx, that's going to be 3x squared divided by 3. Now, I forgot to write plus c over here. Plus c is there. That's a constant plus c. Now, this 3 and 3 cancels. What's the differentiation of c? It's 0. So, your ultimate answer is x squared itself. So, what we are doing is we are basically deriving all the 4 options and checking which matches the given question. So whatever this derived one will be equal to the equation, not the integral, just the equation. So that is what we do it. So just follow the steps. Let's look into one more. Okay, these are very straightforward. I'll show you in a minute. But over here, what you need to do is just type the equation as it is and assume a x value. X value can be anything, can be 2, 3, 4. I generally go with 1.5. When you have decimal, you will get a different value, unique value for sure. Type over here in the question the same x value. Don't keep it x, you should type the value. For the options, you need to use d by dx. Write this equation. You do not need to write this c. Why? Because derivation of any constant is 0. But in that option x is equal to the is right, you need to type it 1.5. So this is how easily you can solve these problems. Now, what if the limits are given? Then it's more easy. Now in the calculator over here, all you need to do is use this integral, write it as it is, that is 1 by sine squared theta. So sine squared will be written afterwards. Write sine x because we can't write t in this calculator. Now square it up. It's better to use brackets. All you need to do is, see, the brackets are outside over here. And now square it up. Let me just make this clear. Sine square t is equal to sine t the whole square. So that is what we did, because we cannot put the sine square t in the calculator. We can just do this. But if it was sine t squared, then it's a different thing altogether. You need to do sine t squared itself. Sine, you put that t and square it. It's a different thing. These both are not the same thing. Okay. If the square is towards the sine, then you can put the whole square, not the other way around. Okay. If it is for the t square, it's only for the t square. Now then put the limits. Yes, since it's given in pi by 2, don't go to change any to degree or anything. Just put it as it is, pi by 4. And over here we have to put pi by 2. So pi divided by 2. Now what we need to do is change the mode of the calculator to radian if it is not already in radian. Changing the mode to radian is very simple. Shift mode and then you need to press 4. So this directly gives you the answer. So the answer must be 1, and that is 1. Now what happens over here? Let's do the left side one as well. The same thing, integral. Here there are you need to use the fraction symbol. It's sine x, close the bracket, divided by cos square x. Open the bracket. You need to put cos x and again close the bracket and square it up. And what are the limits? It's negative pi by 4. So it's pi divided by 4 and until 0. So here it will be 0. Here, when you press equal to, you will not get this value exactly. You will get negative 0.414. But then you need to solve all the options which are in terms of like this, whole numbers and radicals. If you do 1 minus root of 2, what's the answer? It's negative 0.1414. So that is the correct answer. So this is how we can solve it. You don't need to use any of the rules or anything. Directly solve it up and it's more than enough. Same way you can do for all these problems. Now this one you can do the direct method where you solve all the 4 options and then you can get it. Now it seems a little bit long, so I will solve this one. Step 1, the given equation, but instead of x you need to assume a value. I generally assume 1.5, so I've assumed it and I've written it. Don't just use a fraction. It's better you use the decimals itself, because sometimes when you differentiate it, you won't get it in fractions. So I'll write it as 0.76923. So this is what we are looking for when we solve all the four options. Now, since over here there is tan inverse, use the radian mode itself. Now what I do is shift and dy by dx. Type the given equation. How do you do it is shift and tan gives you tan inverse. Don't press 1.5 now. Type it as x itself plus half. It's 0.5, or you can write it as fraction. Anyway, it's possible. And then over here, what we do is ln natural logarithm 1 plus x squared. Close the bracket. Plus c doesn't matter because it'll be dissolved to 0 itself. Constants when you derive will be 0. And here the answer is 1.5. And now we can look, the answer is 0. It's matching. Only one correct answer matches. Because this is the correct answer, it matches. You will have 4 different options. So please do it for the other things as well. I'll just give you an example. If I just change anything over here, from this plus I just change it to minus, this might be one of the other option. You're not getting the correct answer. You can see over there. So this is how we easily solve it out. Please do the other problems by yourselves. These ones are easy. Whenever you have the limits, directly put them in the calculator. That's how easily you can solve this type of questions. Question 10 also is similar to the previous two questions, question 8 and question 9. Now, since this is an MCQ, you do not need to bother anything. Directly solve all the problems in your calculators. Now we will see the problems. Now, when we solve these problems, sometimes there might be an issue. Now, look over here. We have got sine inverse e to the power x. Now, what's the domain of sine inverse? It's from -1 to 1, I believe. But over here, you need to, you can't put any value, because if you put any value, you'll get an error. Okay, because it is out of the domain of sine inverse. So you must just be careful. Generally, minus values for e to the power x would work, because it will be less than 1, you should have less than 1, I believe. So that would work. But anyways, I will tell you not to worry. Just put that put the equation in the calculator as it is. Left one wouldn't have any problem. It's very straightforward. But this one over here, type it out. E to the power, instead of x, I'm going to put 1.5. And over here, square root of 1 minus e to the power, that is shift and natural logarithm, 2 into 1.5. So it's 1.5. So that's it. Everything is typed in. Now write this value. See, it's not working. So what I do is, you will get an error, because if it doesn't work over here, even over here it doesn't work. Why it doesn't work is because of the square root. So now over here it's 1 minus e to the power 2x. If I put a value bigger than 1, it's going to give me an error, because inside the square root will be our imaginary number. So what I generally do is, in such cases, you can rearrange this, say, to minus 0.1 and try different values. If it gives me error in the first place, especially in the square root, because I know this is sine inverse formula of it. Over here you need to use the sine inverse formula, right? So what I do is, I'll put x as minus 1.5. Most of the, see, I'm getting it. I was not sure, but anyways, in this case we get it. Most of the time you get it. If you don't get it, then just put minus 0.5, something like that, or minus 3. You will definitely get it. So now I will write this value. It is 0.2289. Now remember, since it's trigonometry, you will have 4 options. You will understand easily it is either sine inverse or tan inverse, something like that. So put radian mode. Now we will solve each of the options. See over here, shift and dy by dx. Sine inverse is given by shift sine inverse. E to the power is shift and natural logarithm symbol over here to the power x. Now you do not need to write anything as plus c, because it's a constant. What is the value of x? It's not 1.5, but I'll show you. If I put 1.5, I will have a math error. If I have math error over here, obviously I should have it over here as well. So I'll put it as x as minus 1.5, and here you go, that matches. Only one correct answer matches. You might get math error for some other values. That means just ignore them. Only the one which gives you the correct answer is the correct one. So this is the correct one. So this is how you can easily solve them up. Same thing over here, guys. It doesn't matter how big or small the question is. The method is just the same. The step one is putting this value given questions in the calculator as it is with x as substituted 1.5 or something like that. Over here also, don't put 1.5, put negative 1.5 and check, or just change it, because yeah, I think so you'll get an error for 1.5. So let us solve this up over here. It'll be 2, it's not x, I'll just type, I will type 1.5, but I think so it's going to be error, power 3. And what happens over here is square root 1 minus 1.5 to the power 4. Now here, why it's an error is because over here inside the square root it became a smaller number, smaller than 1, a positive number, sorry, smaller than positive number, that means it's an imagined number. Now if I put over here minus, it doesn't matter. Why? Because this is a positive number, right? Positive power. So even if I put x as minus, it will dissolve the negative, it will just make it positive itself. So in such cases, I can easily realize that square root 1 minus x to the power 4, even power, I need to have a value less than 1. So all I do is I'll change this to 0.5 and it will work now. So instead of 1.5, go to 0.5. I'm getting the answer, that is 0.258125. Write it over here somewhere and then try all the 4 options. Let us try this. Shift and d by dx. Here it is negative, open the bracket, again 1 minus x to the power 4. Now write it as it is. Don't go to put 1.5 or 0.5 over here. Now when you're writing it as it is to the power half, that is the square root over here. And then it's plus c, you can ignore that plus c. Why? Because it's a constant. Here I'll just show you, if I put 1.5, it's an error. But if I put 0.5, I'll get the answer, it's matching. Now even if I put over here minus 1.5, still it's an error. Why? Because over here it will be a negative number. So the correct answer is only what we had assumed over here to be 0.5, and that will give you the correct matching answer. You can even take 0.25. You will get a different answer though. If you have taken 0.25, so it's a different answer. If you put over here 0.25, you will have the same answer. So whichever value you assume same x value both the cases, for the given question and for all the options. That's how you can easily solve this one as well. Another easy and simple topic. That's the end of question 10. Question 11 is related to integration by parts. It's not exactly integration by parts. We have to know which method we can use to solve these problems. See, we do not have product rule in integration, so we just can't use a product rule to solve them. There are two separate terms multiplied to each other. It is x and sine x is one term, and sine x squared is one more term. And you might have remembered in the part 2, the writing part, it was explained in detail how we do the integration by parts. We take one of them as u and then dv, and we use the formula integration of uv subtracted by, sorry, it is just uv subtracted by v dv. This is integral, and then we solve it up. But there is also another way, that is just u substitution. So you consider u to be some value and then substitute over here, and this dx to du, and solve it up. So now let's see which one to do. Now looking at this, I can tell this is by u substitution, not by integration by parts. Whereas this is integration by parts. How did I tell that? The trick is very easy. Look into the terms. It's x and sine x squared, right? Whenever it is trigonometry like sine x squared or anything, look at what is the term over here. So over here we have got x squared. Just derive it. Just derive it in your mind. What is the differentiation or derivation of this? It's 2x. Look at this variable now. Does it match over here? This and this doesn't match. Only the variable, not the number. Number, it's fine. Yes. If this matches, then you have to do u substitution. Why? Because, let me solve this by u substitution. Here, you are assuming whatever is there within this as u, x square as u. So what is du? Du is 2x. Du by dx will be 2x. Now what is dx? It is du by 2x. That is dx. Now you substitute over here. What do? You substitute this x value as it is, and sign, instead of x square you put u, and dx will be du by 2x. And now this cancels with this, and you take out the the constants, and it will be sine u du, and you can solve it up, isn't it? Now it's very simple. Integral of sine minus cos u plus c, and over here it will be just minus cos u plus c. Don't forget to multiply the half, so this will be multiplied by half as well. That will be the answer. But over here at the end we have to put what we have assumed for u. That's the answer. But in this problem, we are not solving for this answer. We are just telling which substitution method you are using. So this one was u substitution, not integration by parts. Whereas look at this problem, second one. Here you have sine x. What is the differentiation of x? Derive d by dx of x. It's a 1, it's a constant. And look, what's the term over here? It's x squared. No, you can't use u substitution. There is no way you can rearrange and solve this up. So in this case, we have to use integration by parts. See, now this one, just by taking x squared as u, you can do u substitution. But this one, you need to do integration by parts. That's how we solve them up. Now for this particular problem, you need to know, no matter what, we solve it by integration by parts. Okay, when it's multiplied. But even now, if you're thinking, okay, why exactly? It's fine. Now you take u is equal to ln x. Okay, derive it. Du by dx is what? 1 by x. Now what is dx over here? Basically it will be x goes to the other side, x times du is equal to dx. Now if you substitute back dx, what's happening? You will have x du, you will have ln u and x. It just becomes worse, right? X and x, it becomes x squared ln u. There's no way you can solve this, and with respect to du, it's not possible. So when you multiply natural logarithm with x, it is integration by parts directly. But here, yes, we can do u substitution. Why? Because if you take, instead of ln x as u, sorry, ln x will be u, not x as u. You're taking the entire natural logarithm x as u divided by x. What is dx? X times du. See, this and this cancels, right? Now you can solve it up. This becomes u squared by 2 plus c. You can solve it up. We are not going to solve the values. It's just, we are just telling what type of integration we are using. This is integration by parts, and this one can be done by u substitution, where natural logarithm x is u. Similarly, I hope you can try this by yourselves. Now here, whenever we have anything, we take that as u. Let's take it and check. 4x, can it be u? What will be u? 4. No, it doesn't help us because we have x cube here. No, this cannot be done by u substitution. What about this? EU, that is u is equal to x to the power 4. Du by dx will be what? Derive it. 4x cube. Yes, this x cube matches with this. That means it will cancel off. Why? Because du by 4x cube is equal to dx. So now if I substitute it, it will be x to the power 3. E over here, x to the power 4 is u, so I'll write e to the power u, and du by 4x to the power 3, this is 4. Now this and this cancels. You're getting everything in terms of u and du, and 1/4 is common. Integrate this, you can solve it up. So we're not solving, we're just telling which method. So this one was integration by parts, and this one we can do u substitution, where you take x to the power 4 as u. So similarly over here, think about these problems by yourselves and then look it up. Now looking at this, see, whatever is this will be u, right? 4 by x. Now I know this is basically 1 by x. Whatever is there, you're taking it as u. It's in terms of 1 by x. What is the derivation of that? Du by dx will be minus constant as it is. This is 4 by x squared. Now let's rearrange du with, see, whenever I get this term over here, Now what happens? This x squared can go up, right? But what we will do is we'll just take this up. It will be minus 4x. Now this is matching. Yes, that's fine. Why? Because if you get the right side as whatever is this term, this will cancel off, because when we write dx, it will be du by minus 4x to the power minus 2 is equal to dx. So this over here, integral, sorry, x to the power minus 2 e to the power u du by whatever this term we got at the right side, right? It'll be minus 4x minus 2. So this will cancel with this. You're remaining with a constant and everything in terms of u now. So it's possible to solve. Whereas over here, look at this. Minus 4x, the derivative will be minus 4. There is no way you can get this variable. No, it's not possible at all. So if you can substitute this u and get this similar thing, it cancels off. You can do u substitution over here. Now here you can u substitute as 1 by x. I was carried away. I told 4 by x. Why 1 by x? Because this is a constant value. So basically what you do is, now anyways, this is not there to solve, but I'm just telling, integral x minus 2, it will be e to the power 4u. Okay, and then dx will be du by, we again got 4x, sorry, it is just x to the power minus 2. Then this cancels off and you will have 4u du. Now you solve it up, okay, because that's 4 is constant. We assume only u to be 1 by x, because our intention is to cancel out this x term. That 4, it doesn't matter, okay. You write it as 4u and simplify. But here you cannot do, you must do it integration by parts. That's by the formula. So we are not solving, we are just telling which methods. If it is solving all the problems in the part A, that is the MCQ part, can be done in calculator easily. Before we end, please remember the difference between u substitution and integration by parts. That is the end of question 11. Question number 12 is again on integration, but this time it's integration by parts. You have definite and indefinite integrals. Definite integrals means you have limits in this integral, but indefinite are something like this, no limits. Now, it doesn't matter which type of problem in integrals, you can use the calculator method as long as it's an MCQ part. If 4 options are there, just use the calculator. Now, these ones, integration by parts, especially when you have cosine x to the power 4 or more, it repeats. When you do integration by part, it keeps on repeating. So there is a shorter method. Now this is just if you're interested to know the method. What we do is, whatever is the trigonometric function, we consider it in the table. So let's integrate cosine, it will be positive sine. Then what happens over here is, after this first step, we write this x to the power 4 as it is. Now next on, we start with plus, minus, plus. This keeps on going, okay? We have to keep on changing the sign. Now integrate sine. What is integration of sine? It is cosine x, but since it's cosine, we are getting answer minus. Don't write plus c here. We write it only at the end. So it's cosine. Then next is, what is the integral of minus cos x? Minus will remain, cos x integral is sine x. Now integral of sine x is minus cosine, minus minus will be cos x, integral of cos x is positive sine x. Here we have to just keep on deriving. X to the power 4 will be 4x cubed. Then 3 comes down, will be 12x squared. 2 comes down, 24x, and lastly 24. Plus minus plus minus. Now you just write all these terms together. The first term would be this one. It's positive x power 4 sine x. Next is minus times minus. It'll be positive again, 4x cubed cos x. Minus is only once, so write minus 12x squared sine x. Next one is minus 24 cos x, 24x cos x, and 24 sine x. Don't forget to write plus c only once, we write at the end. This is the actual method to solve by integration by parts. Now this takes time. You might think, okay, this is so big, it will take a long time in the calculator. No, it's almost the same time, you know. So let's do the calculator method now. I hope your calculator is in radian. If not, press shift mode and 4. Now it will be in radian. Now here, instead of x, assume a value. I'm going to assume 1.5. X as 1.5 to the power 4 for this given question, multiplied with cosine 1.5 close the bracket, and that's the answer. It's 0.358, 0.3581. Now then, here you do not need to jump to all the four options. You need to look, what is this x power 4 cosine x, right? You will start with x power 4. If it is not starting with x power 4, ignore that. Some may start at x power 5, or it might start at x cube. So those are not the correct options. Directly look into the option which is having x power 4 degree, whatever is the highest degree, that must be there. And over here, instead of cosine, you need to integrate cosine. What is the integration of cosine? Sine x. For the first term, you can easily deduce which is that. You will have at least two options starting with x power 4 sine x, I'm sure. Then others over here, the signs are the problem. So just look into those two options and let's type it out. Shift dy by dx. Now over here you need to type everything. That's the only issue. But it's just typing, nothing else, x power 4 sine x. Keep the variable x as it is. Now 4x cube. Don't substitute 1.3 over here. We substitute it at the end. X is as it is a variable x. Now minus 12x square sine x. Over here sine x minus 24 x, that is alpha x cosine x, plus 24 sine x. That's it. We don't put the c. Now what is the x value we assumed? We assumed it to be 1.5, and look at the answer. It must match, and it is matching. If you have done any error, you need to be careful. It won't get the correct answer. So please double check the typings. So what you have typed, is it correct? Just double check in your calculator before submitting. And since you're doing it in your physical calculator, it's much easier to type it out. It takes time at times. But as it is, double check it and then press equal to, and it should match this given question. If it's not matching, go to the other option. One of that will match. So that is how we solve these. Even over here, easily do the integration by parts by table. See, table method is easier, simpler. The other one, right, it will recur many times. You will get the similar answer. But the calculator is the easiest of all. But the stable method otherwise saves a lot of time, because over here you're just deriving. Over here you're just, integrating it. And over here it's plus minus. The concept is you must keep it as it is in the first, only integrate this and then continue. I have seen students forget that. They miss out that and they just, start this as the first term. That is a mistake. Now, when you're looking for the four options, which is the most likely answer, look at the highest degree, that must be there. And what is the derivation of this? Over here, derivation, see, they have taken e to the power 2x out, that's fine, but that will be divided by 2. So that's it. Look at the most likely one, put in the calculator, you will get the correct answer. Even over here, since it's e to the power x, it's very easy, and that's it. Please do the other problems by yourselves. You can see it's a long answer. It will take some time to put in the calculator, but it won't take more than 5 minutes, So practice well now. It'll be very easy. And that's the end of the question 12. Again, another easy one. Simply you can use the calculator and solve it up. I'm sure now when you look at this word here in the part 1, you have to take your calculator and solve it up. Absolutely, you can solve all these problems again using your calculator. You don't need to do huge, u substitution or integration by parts. But in fact, these are generally done by u substitutions. You have to strategically choose the u values. You have to use Pythagorean identities and solve it up. But now here, what I'll do is I'll just show you the calculator method again. First, assume a x value. Since it's sine, cosine, it's all fine. No inverse, no square root. So you can choose any x value. And please use radian mode. Now I'll type it out. It is cosine. I'll take x as 1.5. When you're typing the question, you need to write x value directly. And to the power 3. It's powered outside. Multiply it with sine 1.5 to the power 4. And here now we get this value. You need to write it out somewhere, because I'm sure you might not be able to remember the entire thing. So it's 3.505 into 10 to the power minus 4. Now, next, what you do is you need to look into all the four options, and you need to press shift d by dx and type the options as it is. It takes a bit of time, but you don't need to remember any rules. It's just putting in the calculator and you get the answer. So here you need to put a variable as it is as x. Don't substitute 1.5. 1.5 substituted outside here, not inside the d by dx. Okay, now this must be powered up to 5, and over here you have option divided by phi itself, minus over here you have sine x, close the bracket, and then power it up to 7 divided by 7. That's it. We don't put plus c, and let's compare, and this matches. If you had a simple change, now I'm sure one of the option might be plus. Let's try plus, and over here the answer is different. Only this one particular answer matches this particular value, and that's your correct answer. Same thing is done to all the other problems. Now over here, don't go to the method which I just now told you, because the limits are given. And if limits are given, you get a constant value, so you cannot derive this. Only when you have x variables like this, see, like answers in terms of sine x or something like that, like the options we had just a while ago in the previous problem. Such problems can be solved with the method I just now told you. When you have limits, please use integral, this symbol over here. Type it out, cosine 3x. Now x as variable, then cube it up because it's power 3. Multiply it with sine 3x, that is alpha x, close the bracket, and to the power again 3. And then over here, you just press pi divided by 4, and up above is pi by 3. Shift pi divided by 3 and press equal to, the answer is negative 1 by 72. Now sometimes you might get it as a fraction, decimal. You won't get it like this as fractions. No worries, write this answer down. It's 0.1338. Try pressing SD. If it shows you, then that's correct. Otherwise, write the answer and then check all the four options. Now solve it up. 1 divided by 72 will be the same answer. Obviously, it'll be same because we did SD for that. So this is how we can do it. So that's how we solve these problems. Definite integrals are very easy to solve. And that's how easily you can solve all these type of problems. And that's the end of question 13. We are nearing the end to the part 1. That is the question 14, last but one question, to integrate the functions of this form, where we have secant and tan raised to the power. It seemed like the previous problems. In the question 13, 12, we have done shortcut for integrals. We will do the same thing. As long as you have been given the options, you can use this method. So let's take our calculators. The first thing is typing this question as it is in the calculator. X tan cubed. So please use brackets properly, and let's use tan. Again, x squared plus 1, close the bracket, and another bracket, and now cube it. Raise it to the power 3 and multiply it with secant. What is secant exactly? So here, open the bracket, write 1 divided by cosine, that is secant. Now here it is x squared plus 1, close. Now close the bracket here and again properly, and then now this is only to the power 1, so you don't have to raise it to the power. So that's it, it's x multiplied by. Now here, make sure that the calculator is in the radian mode, because there is tangent and secant. This is trigonometry, right? So here you have to press shift mode and 4. Now press equal to. Now this is wrong. We need to assume a x value first. Calculate. I would assume 1.5. And what is this answer? So write this answer down. Whatever answer you get, write it over here. Negative 1.945 into 10 to the power minus 3. Now all you need to do is derive this particular equation at x is equal to 5, and it should match this. Now if it doesn't match, that's not the answer. Only one correct answer will match. Now let's press shift and dy by dx. We have assumed over here x as 1.5. Now integral of this is the answers, right? Now when you derive this, you must get back the question basically. So it is 1 divided by 6 here, multiplied by, open the bracket, 1 divided by cosine x squared plus 1, close the bracket, Sorry, close it. And now close the again that bracket over here and square it up. Sorry, cube it up because it's power 3. And then we have to subtract it by half, 1 by 2, multiplied with secant. Again, open the bracket because secant is 1 by cosine x squared plus 1. And over here, close the bracket and then just press next and again close the bracket. You do not need to write plus c because it's constant. Even if you put it, it will become 0 at 1.5. This answer must match whatever you get it. Only one answer will match, and that's the correct answer. So for all these problems, the same thing. Here you can try it by yourselves. Put this in the calculator, but it must be in radian mode. Solve it up, and then assume a x value, calculate it. Write that answer and derive the final answer over here, and derive it at what? X is equal to same value which you assumed at 1.5. Now these problems are straightforward. You have to just type it out directly. I know some students on Telegram groups asking me questions and everything. A student did this many times but was not getting the answer, and I could not figure it. I told to clear the calculator, nothing happened, nothing worked. It was just that the brackets, even I was not able to realize that. I thought it was the brackets, but I didn't realize it at the first go. I thought it was correct. So I'll tell you what was the error over there. So open the brackets. Here it is tan to the power 4, right? So first write x, close the bracket, and then again close the bracket and raise the power. So the only problem over there was it was kind of like this, there was one open bracket, and then this was the error. And then that person had written the other part, but he couldn't get it. So this is why I'm just stressing, because one student had this doubt, and even I failed to realize it in the first go, because I thought it was some calculator issue or something. Anyways, over here, open the bracket properly. 1 divided by cosine x. Why? Because secant is 1 by cosine x. And now close the bracket and raise it to the power 4. And it's what? 0 to pi. Sorry, pi by 4, right? Here it's pi, shift and pi by 4. The answer must be 12 by 35. Might feel it's very easy, yes, but try to do it by yourselves. You might get some error at times. Now, what about this? It's the same thing, so I'm going to leave the same powers. It's tan x to the power 4. This is power 2, so I'll just change this power here. And what are the limits? Here it is negative pi by 4. So it's shift pi divided by 4. And the upper limit is pi by 4 itself. So the answer is, it takes some time, it's 2 by 5. So the final answer over here is 2 by 5. That's how we solve it. And that's the end of the question 14. Another simple and easy topic. Just use your calculator to solve all the problems in these topics. To all the grade 12 students, I wish you all the very best. I hope that wherever you go, whatever you do, you may do great. And to my dear students from Al Aruba School, Sharjah, all the grade 12 students, I will be missing you all very, very much. I have been teaching you all since grade 9. It has been such beautiful 4 years. And next year, I'll be so dearly missing you. I'm sure whatever you do, wherever you go, you will be doing great. And I hope everything goes well, and miss you so much, guys. The final question in the part 1, it is to integrate trigonometric functions. But here again, you can use the calculator method and solve all the problems. We will go through them. Now here you need to have all the 4 options, and since it's in part 1, 15th question, you will be given all the 4 options. Let's take our calculators and solve this up. First thing is this one over here. See, when you integrate, you get this answer. So when you differentiate the answer, you ought to get back the question, isn't it? So don't do anything to this question. Type it as it is. So it's x squared. Let's use the fractions, and x squared divided by square root 9 plus x squared. And now calculate this. Ignore the integral and dx. Just calculate it at what? 1.5 or something like that. Now here you got 3 root 5 by 10. Take it as a decimal and write it out. So I'll write this answer here. It is at x is equal to 1.5. I'm getting the value of 0.67082. So now you need to solve all the four options, whatever options you're given, in this form, dy by dx. But here I just realized that's ln. See, natural logarithm is there. So till now we have not come across these functions, right? But when you come across them, you cannot use them directly. You will get an error, you'll get syntax error because you won't be able to solve it. But now there's a simple trick where you can avoid it. So now let me start solving the first part, that is x fraction. Over here it is square root 9 plus x squared divided by 2. Next part is what? Minus 9 by 2. Now, do you know that natural logarithmic function means it's log function? What is it, log? Log base e. So instead of ln, you have to just take it as log base e and it'll work because these both are equal. Now here, take log. And how do you take base e? You can press shift and over here and you get e to the power 1. But the better way is alpha, and can you see here 10 to the power? That is e. And now type it out as it is. If you want this absolute value, you can just press shift and hyp, or you can avoid it, that's fine. You'll get the correct answer. Now here what you need to do is type it out, fraction x plus root 9 plus x squared divided by 3. And if you're thinking about what about this constant, if you put a constant value also, it'll be derived and it'll become 0, right? So you can ignore that. Okay, so now the x value is 1.5. I think so I might have missed any brackets. Let's just double check this is correct. Minus 9 by 2 log base e. Okay, we have closed the bracket and okay, all done. Press equal to, this is your answer. This is the absolute same answer which we took. Now, if at all there was no square root function inside this natural logarithm, it will work. But whenever you have any trigonometric function, square root function, this ln cannot be taken as ln. You have to take log base e. That's the only difference over here. Now you can try the other problems. Let's see. This is very straightforward. There's nothing in this. I mean, there's no complication. You can just put it and match it up. You will get the answer. Let us look at this answer. Now here as well. Okay. You can't directly put this. You need to make sure you take it as log base e. Let's do this one as well. Here, this is the first, you must do the question. Square root 16 plus x squared, isn't it? Calculate it at 1.5. Write this answer out. Write it somewhere. It is 4.27200. Now then, whatever the answer, the four options, you need to do trial and error method. Shift dy by dx, derive it at the same x value, 1.5. But before that, we need to put the equation. You need to do it for all the equations. For 0.5 multiplied by x multiplied by, you can avoid that multiplied because it's all variables. It'll automatically be multiplied as well. Square root is over here, 16 plus x squared. Then you need to press next, and now plus a, don't press lan, press log base e alpha, this symbol over here, alpha log base e is the option which you need to use, not natural logarithm. Now here, if you want absolute value, just press shift and hyp, you get the absolute value, 1/4, what is it, square root 16 plus x squared, that is alpha x squared, and then this is still within the absolute value itself, plus x divided by 4. And now you need to calculate this at 1.5. I have told you we do not need to consider the constant because derivation of constant is 0. And the answer, yes, matches 4.27200. You can do this for all the problems. All the MCQ part can be easily solved and calculated itself. Now here, remember, don't take ln, take log base e, and you'll get the correct answer. Now these are very straightforward, isn't it? Why? Because all you need to do is press the symbol integral. Now type it out. It is x squared multiplied by square root of x squared plus 9. And what is it? 0 to 2. 0 to 2. And the answer is 8.99. Okay, you can see the final answer. Finally over here. So let's see the final answer. Okay, it's a very lengthy procedure. It's going to take forever if you're solving it. And okay, over here. That is the final answer. Now over here, it is not in terms of numbers. You can see we got an 8.99, right? But just put this in the calculator, you will get the same answer. So what you need to do is first write this out, 8.99399. So now we will just substitute this in the calculator and check. It should match this 8.99. Only one answer will match among all the options, so that will be your correct answer. Minus 81 divided by 8. Now this is ln. Don't go to, you can do log base e as well. You'll get the same answer. I'm not going to do absolute value because I know it's all positive over there. Root 13 divided by 3. It's divided by 3 over here. And now close the brackets, and the answer must be 8.9939. Yeah, that's the answer. So this is how we can solve these. And what about these? We have solved it a while ago. Make sure you put it as it is in the calculator, solve it for x value. And this one here, make sure you derive it and check it. Let's do this because there is trigonometry in this. First thing, let's put the given question, x cubed divided by square root 1 plus x squared, and now the answer is 1.87211. 1.87211. Now whether this is okay, this is fine over here, no problem. But when you solve these, make sure your mode must be in radian, shift mode and 4. But here the answer will be same, doesn't matter because there is no trigonometry over here, isn't it? So that's fine. Now we will derive this. You will have 4 options. You have to derive all and match with this. So now the one answer which matches is your correct answer. So how do you do secant? Secant is, I'll use another bracket just for that secant, 1 divided by cosine. And then we have tan inverse, shift tan inverse x, close the bracket and close the cosine bracket. And now close this bracket and make it power 3. And don't forget, this 3 is also there, this entire thing, right? This is only cubed, is only for the secant, not for the 3. So multiply this by 1 by 3. Or you need to just put another, see this 3 is there, right? We can take it as 1 by 3 outside this term, right? So that is the thing. Now what I would suggest is put a bracket to make that one single term. Now this everything, see over here, is all one term. Now this is subtracted by what? Minus this term here. Now open a bracket, it's 1 by cosine tan inverse x. Close the bracket and close another bracket of cos, and then close this bracket properly. And now at x is 1.5. What is the answer? It's 1.5. It is 1.87211. Now it works only if you put all the values properly, the brackets properly. See, now I put one extra layer of bracket over here. I can remove that because see this multiplied, right? Over here, that bracket, even if I remove, I'm getting the same answer. But I just put it for safe side. You can avoid some brackets, but make sure you properly type everything because it's secant. It must be 1 by cosine, and use the bracket to cube it over here. Be careful with that. So that is how we can solve this particular problem. And over here there is similar problem. You can do this by yourself. Just make sure here use log base e and you will get the answer. I've tested for all these problems and I've got the answers in the physical calculator, I mean. And this one, the computer simulation also will do the same. And that is the end of part 1. Finally, we have finished all the questions. I wish you all the very best for your exams. Please do study well. Don't keep it at the last minute. Try to revise as early as possible. If you have any doubts, please do post them in the comments and I'll try to get back to you very soon. You can find all the explanation videos of part 1 questions and part 2 questions in my channel. I just want to thank each and every one of you for supporting my channel, for subscribing to my channel, for sharing my videos with your friends. I really appreciate it so much. I'm so grateful to all of you guys for all the support, for all the love. I just want to wish you all the very best. I hope everyone gets great marks in their exams. I wish you good luck and take care.